And we are live, guys. Welcome to the Sartain Report. I did not know much about this Lindsay Clancy case. I had been asked by several people to comment on it, but honestly, this didn't really seem like my wheelhouse, right? You know, I talk a lot about intersexual dynamics, and the more I got into it, the more I was fascinated by this case, but not because of the actual facts of the case, and we'll go over those real soon, but the way it was dividing people, specifically conservatives, when it came to this case, and very similar to what happened with the Charlie Kirk situation. And so I wanted to go over that. And I also wanted to discuss, like, what are some of the mechanisms of the conservatives and the liberals that are being shown here. We're seeing in some cases, the best and worst when it comes to nuanced conversation. And we're seeing people attack each other for absolutely no reason. And we're seeing people trying to have a nuanced conversation, and it's kind of falling on deaf ears. So as with any one of these controversies, they generally start in one place. There is one central point of tinder that creates these explosions. And you guessed it, that's right. It is Candace Owens. And so we're going to start with Candace, and we're going to go over Candace's reaction to the Lindsay Clancy case, which kind of, I think, started the mass wave of controversy here. I think a lot of people were interested in this case. I think Candace really turned up the propane. And then we're going to look at some of the reactions to what she said. And then let's also remember, anyway, you know what? I'll just play this for you, and you guys just tell me what you think. Okay, let's go for it.
Corinne writes, I know you're busy, but I'd love to know your thoughts on the Lindsay Clancy case in Massachusetts. I made my thoughts clear on this the moment that she was arrested, the moment that it made the news. Lindsay Clancy is obviously not guilty. There are a fleet of doctors who should be imprisoned for what they put her on. I regularly speak out against Big Pharma. They get away with murder all the time. And in this case, they are getting away with the murder of really her 3 children. But
so we figured out a way that Big Pharma has murdered her children. Keep going.
Also completely destroyed her life. When Lindsay Clancy,
I agree with that part. Definitely.
In my opinion, is not guilty. She was put into an intentional psychosis when she probably just needed to give her kids away for a weekend.
So this is one of the things I want to go over, guys. This goes, I don't want to relitigate the whole Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson thing, but intentional psychosis. I absolutely agree that there's some nefarious stuff going on here. And I think she may have been put into psychosis, but intentional psychosis. Her doctors were sitting there like, how can we get this middle-class white woman to go into psychosis and kill her kids? This is the kind of specious nonsense that Candace usually spews out. But here's the difference. Last time, all of her opponents, all of her fans were attacking me. This time, I'm watching all of her fans turn on her for making this claim. And here's the point that I've been trying to make before. Candace doesn't care about what happens to Lindsay Clancy. She doesn't care what happens to Tyler Robinson. She doesn't care about any of this. Candace is always going to take the position that gets the most clicks and sparks the most controversy. Candace Owens is the Skip Bayless of politics. Let me say that one more time. Candace Owens is the Skip Bayless. If you guys follow sports, you know what I'm talking about. Skip Bayless is he's this writer from Dallas. I actually used to work at the same radio station he did 30 years ago, a Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket. And all he does is say things to piss people off. He doesn't say things that he believes. He says them because he wants to get more clicks. None of the Candace supporters wanted to hear me when I was talking about Tyler Robinson. Now, all of a sudden, they hear this ridiculous comment that she has here. And again, I'm not saying it's ridiculous. We're not going to get into guilt or innocence yet. We'll do that in a little bit. I'm actually not as strong a believer in her full-on guilt as you might believe. But her observation was she was deliberately put into psychosis. Let's hear it one more time.
Intentional psychosis when she probably just needed to give her kids away for a weekend to get better, but they constantly give you these drugs that do not make things better. And the cocktail of 10 pharmaceuticals that she was on is absolute madness. Absolute madness.
It is absolute madness. But the answer might not be as simple as what Candace is saying. Candace is acting as if these pharmaceutical manufacturers, that these big pharma people, and by the way, big pharma is terribly bad. You guys know I'm very pro TRT. Part of the reason why I'm pro TRT is because it gets you off of the weight loss medication. It gets you off the ED medication. It gets you off the anxiety medication. I'm actually for, and actually TRT, testosterone, is actually synthesized in several different countries. It's not controlled by Big Pharma. You can make it out of wild yams. Testosterone, quite simply, is the worst thing that's ever happened to pharmaceutical companies. But when we go over this real quick, one of the things we're going to see is, while I do agree with her that Big Pharma has had a role to play in here, let's make sure we pay attention to what some other people say, because this is a way to think about it that I had never thought of before. And it comes from our good buddy, Steven Crowder. Let's go to Steven real quick and let's see what he has to say about this.
You know who I guarantee you would probably not have sympathy for Lindsay Clancy? The half a dozen to a dozen therapists, psychiatrists who said, there's no helping this woman. She's pill shopping. And once she has to face accountability, she moves on to the next one.
Uh-oh, wait a second. Have you guys ever seen this before? Somebody who doesn't quite get the right, again, I'm not saying that this is true or not true, but it's something that I don't hear anyone else consider. Have you ever met somebody who goes to a chiropractor or a back doctor and he says, hey, doc, give me some oxycodone, give me some pain for this medication. And the doctor says no. So he just leaves and he goes to another doctor and another doctor and another doctor until he finds one that prescribes what it is he wants. Have you never heard of that before? Could it be that the person who consistently wants these drugs could be accountable? I don't know what the case is here in the Lindsay Clancy case, but I do think Steven Crowder asks a very important question.
She had access to healthcare. She had access to medication. She had a husband who was helping her. And she killed 3 kids. And if anyone here believes for a second that in our society today, it's like, well, really, actually, the problem is we're not allowed to talk about postpartum. What? It's a get out of jail free card all the time. And you know what? Maybe some people don't get the kind of care that they want. Or
again, he's making a great point. We're not allowed to talk about postpartum. I don't remember. Does anyone remember when any debate where someone started talking about postpartum and someone got shot down? This always drives me. This is such, oh my God. It's such, what's the word I'm looking for? Like turning yourself into the victim. It's such gaslighting. This idea that we can't talk about postpartum. We certainly can. And by the way, you're going to hear, I have a little bit more moderate tempered views when it comes to this. I'm going to play them right after this because I think Tim Pool was kind of in the middle on this a little bit more. But the idea that she might have been experiencing postpartum depression, which caused her to do this, I'm not even debating that yet. I will later on in this hour, but right now I'm not even debating that yet. That could possibly be what happens. But this idea we can't have the conversation. No, what's happened is what you're saying is these women are not getting the help they need. No, they're getting the help they need from pharmaceutical companies that are giving them too much shit. But the problem is if I go drink alcohol and I go kill someone, I'm still going to jail for it. The woman who killed my father was very drunk. She had been arrested on a DUI charge. She got out of jail and 11 hours later killed my father in a car. And she was held accountable for it and spent 20 years in prison for it. That's the way these things work. Actually, I don't know if she spent 20 years in prison. I don't know what happened to her. She may have passed away in prison. I'm not sure. But my point is, I want you to consider this. Ready? Just close your eyes for a second. I don't want to be too one-sided on this, but there is so much that is being pushed in the wrong direction here. And I don't want to be on the wrong end of this, but I just want you to think about something. I want you to think about a man who he is having some trouble with stress. So he goes and gets some benzos. He goes and gets some Lexapro. He go get some other stuff, and it causes him to go into a psychotic break. And while he's in a psychotic break, he ends up RAPing 3 women that he knows. And then he uses the McNaughton defense. For you guys don't know, it's innocent by reason, not guilty by reason of insanity. Do you think that these feminists who are wearing pink outside the courthouse would have the same empathy for him because he was over prescribed medication as they would for her? My whole thing is I would have some sympathy for him, and I would hope that he gets help in jail. I just don't think I'm trying not to get in trouble here. I want you to hear me out, okay? I want you guys to write this down because we're going to bring this up at the end of the show. I'm doing a debate later on next month. Hopefully, it looks like I'm getting planned for a debate. I'll give you guys more details, but it's going to be some manosphere creators versus some feminists. And one of the questions, and I hope none of the feminists watch this show because they're going to be ready for this question when I ask it. In the manosphere, there's a lot of manosphere creators who said a lot of specious nonsense. They say a lot of things that I don't agree with. That's why I'm like, I'm barely in them. I'm passively in the manosphere. I do consider a lot of manosphere creators to be good friends, but I'm not really strong in the manosphere. I'm in there because I can't get out. Like there's no way that the left would ever let me get out. Just like they call Chris Williamson a misogynist. They call Scott Galloway a misogynist. They call Richard Reeves a misogynist. Yes, they did. I'll show you the tabloid, the British tabloid that called Richard Reeves a misogynist. And so there's no way for me to get out of this this whole thing. But when I debate feminism versus manosphere content, one of the things you guys could all probably agree with when it comes to the manosphere is that there is a level of accountability that men have in the manosphere. My level of accountability was to serve my country, right? That is, I do think that's a manosphere tenet, to protect and provide for your family, for your community. A manosphere tenet would be someone has broken into your home, your family's upstairs, you go downstairs with the shotgun or the baseball bat. I think that is a tenet of manosphere. I also think another tenet of manosphere is taking care of your body, being physically fit, in really good shape, being athletic, being flexible. I do think that's a tenet. Being able to provide financially for your family, I think is a tenet of manosphere. I'll tell you another tenet of manosphere, and I know a lot of you aren't going to hear me when I say this: protect women. We actually physically protect women from assailants. This is one of the reasons why I get so angry when I hear this bear versus man in the forest nonsense. This idea that most men are sexual predators is just not true, and there's no data to support that. And so when we talk about that, all of those things that I just mentioned, take care of yourself at work, be in better shape, be a leader. When I talk about things like, taking care of your family, et cetera, serving your country, protecting your community, those things are called, wait for it, because some of you never heard this word before, accountability. Those are called accountability. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Ready? You guys want to have some fun? Take Grok, take Gemini, take ChatGPT, take Claude, DeepSeek, Kimi K3, whichever AI model you want, and ask it this one question. Oh, you're about to have some fun tonight. Ask any one of those AI models, what core tenet of feminism holds women accountable for anything? One more time. I want you to find whatever AI model you like. You can use Google Gemini if you want, any of them you want. What core tenet of feminism holds women accountable for anything? It was the reaction from ChatGPT goes, let me think about this. And it was just like thinking for a long time. And it goes, I have to be honest with you. I cannot find there is one core tenet of feminism that does hold women accountable. Do you want to know what it is? It's when you have internalized misogyny or you do not fight the patriarchy. Meaning the only time that feminism holds women accountable is that when women aren't feminist enough. If you don't believe me, do this with your own AI models and see if I'm making this up. So the whole point, the whole discussion that I want to have today, besides this crazy divisive nature that we have in our society and our algorithms are just making us so angry at one another. Besides that, one of the things I want to talk about is accountability. In general, and one more time, I am open to the idea that this woman is not guilty by reason of insanity. I know you guys think that I'm just here to bash on her. This is actually very little to do with Lindsay Clancy herself, because I don't know all the facts of the case. I've seen a lot of facts. It doesn't look great for her. I had 4 different AI models go through it. And I said, give me a percentage chance. One of them said 44-55. The other one said 55-44. And it's generally somewhere between second-degree murder and not guilty by reason of insanity. But with that being said, I don't know how this is going to end. I have a feeling, but which way I lean. That's not really what's important. What's important is the people reacting. You can see that they're falling down 2 lines. One line is I'm accountable for the decisions I make in my life. I'm accountable for where I go to school, what my grades are. I'm accountable for feeding my family, staying in shape. I'm accountable for the things in my life. I take, wait for it, Jocko Willink, extreme ownership over my life. I take extreme ownership. Okay. And I'm also, when people insult me or come after me, I don't have the privilege of being offended. David Goggins can't hurt me. Okay. That's how I feel. So one side is about extreme ownership and accountability. There's a lot of mothers out there that are like, well, I'm not like Lindsay. I can't imagine anybody putting a hand on my child or hurting my child in any way whatsoever. So this whole idea that we're all, I'm going to show you guys some videos. There's some videos called We're All Lindsay, and it's a bunch of women crying while holding their baby saying, we're all Lindsay. Okay, that's fine. You have the right to your opinion. You have the right to express yourself. But the main thing I want to go over is that the other side, it's not that there's different points of accountability. There's literally no point of accountability. What I mean by from a feminist standpoint, I'm asking you guys truly, and by the way, you can come on if you want to come on in the 3rd hour and have this discussion with me. What core feminist tenet requires any accountability from women in any scenario? I'm not saying that if feminism was simply, we want men and women to be equal, count me as a feminist. I'll be a feminist for sure. I would be a feminist if that was the case. If feminism, however, and this is actually what feminism is that every single function of inequality only exists because of discrimination, if that's what feminists, and when we get to a point where we try to fix this discrimination to the point where we overcorrect, that we don't stop even after the overcorrection, then I'm not a feminist. I'm not in agreement with that. Because here's the problem. As a feminist, if you consistently say that the problems in your life come from patriarchy, come from a patriarchal mindset, internalized misogyny, whatever, it's really funny how hard feminists come after women. Feminists definitely do hold some women accountable. They hold women accountable who aren't feminists. Go see Sheryl Sandberg and her whole trad wife campaign, trying to get rid of trad wife on TikTok. See if I'm making this up. This woman's a billionaire and she's doing this. Feminists hold women accountable. They hold women accountable who aren't feminists enough. If you are telling me that I'm wrong, then give me one core tenet of feminism that holds women accountable for their actions. Or anybody accountable for their actions. Let's not just say feminism, because I do think feminism, a core derivative of feminism is the LGBT community. So I want you to tell me, in any of those cases, when are you liable for your own actions? I want to know. I need you to explain this to me. I'm going to tell you guys what I told Astrid Carlson when she was up for sentencing after she killed my father. I said, Miss Carlson, I already forgive you. I don't know you. I know you lost your husband, and I know you have a problem with alcohol. And I swear, I hope more than anything, and I pray for you, I hope that you get the help you need. But you can do that from jail. Let's keep going.
This one did. I don't care, because the conversation shouldn't shift from anything other than 3 children were murdered. Were murdered. What, over $1 million in a GoFundMe? Show me the man who murdered 3 children and got $1 million in a GoFundMe. Show me that. Or people say, actually, it's not his fault. Here's the other thing, too. It's a very common myth. Not all the time, but most of the stories that you hear where someone just snapped, that's actually not what happened. It's not what happened. There's a long pattern, a history of behavior, misdeeds, displacing blame, where everyone else has to live in misery until you finally commit the ultimate evil. It's also the same thing very often with dogs. You'll see this. I'm not wading into the pit bull debate here. But any dog, so I don't know what happened. This dog just all of a sudden lunch. No, when you look at it, not all the time, very often you go, oh wait, the dog was sleeping, and the kid woke it up. Dog was having a nightmare. That's a huge portion of dog attacks that you read as just snapped. Oh, wait a second, the dog was coming home, was on medication because the dog had just had surgery. The dog was brand new, had just been taken in from a rescue, had only been at the house for 2 weeks, and you see dog snaps. No way to see it coming. And it's far worse with people.
But even in that situation, dog snaps, no one saw it coming. What happens to the dog?
Right. Dog gets put down.
Guys, I want to tell you one other thing. So I did a little bit of research on this. You guys can welcome to join me on this. You guys know I have voice conversations, generally with Grok Chat, ChatGPT Chat, and Claude Chat whenever I'm working out. Sometimes Kimmy K3. DeepSeek does not have one. And I'll ask questions. I'll ask interesting questions. I'm trying to push the limit of how far I can get the AI model to bend and break and mold to my will. One of the questions I asked several different models while I was shooting free throws last night. I said, hey, what is in general, how often is the McNaughton defense used? Meaning not guilty by reasonable insanity. And the answer is somewhere, and there's multiple studies here, so I'm going to give you a range. It's somewhere between 20 to 25% of the time when the McNaughton defense is used, it actually works in general. So meaning of all the times it's used in general, it works about a fifth to a fourth of the time. I can't even believe I could look this out. Everybody, stop what you're doing, because I'm about to tell you something you're not going to believe, and I really hope you guys fact check me on this. I really do. I looked up, what is the percentage chance of a woman who committed murder against her children and her defense was postpartum depression? And it had stats for me. It happens so often that there's actually stats on this one idea of women committing infanticide when they're suffering from postpartum depression. And do you want to know what the number is? Remember, in general, it's about 20 to 25% of the time you get off when you claim insanity. When you claim insanity and it's postpartum depression, it's 33 to 50% of the time. One study said 48% of the time. One said 46. One of them said like 38% of the time. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Bro, I'm just blown away by the fact that there's even stats on this. Like, it happens so often where women do kill their children because of postpartum depression. It happens so often. There's actually a database on this. Go look it up if you don't believe me. That's
Dog gets put down. With a human, you really think that it was good mom, good wife, good mom, good wife, good mom, good wife, good mom, good wife, 3 murders? Or do you think everyone around her, even though you want to believe she's the perpetual victim, they were waking up every day going, what's she going to put us through today? Try and understand that. Right? Pop psychologists on social media, when you talk about every man being a narcissist for wearing a wristwatch, apply it there. A lot of medication, a lot of costs for medication, a lot of chaos being sown. That seems like a lot of self-focus. It wasn't perfect, or even decent, triple murder. My sympathy, you only have so much sympathy in you, goes to the actual victims, namely, of course, the children. And I would say in this case, the father. The father who has to, people go, it must be so hard for her to live with what she did. You know who I think it's harder?
The man who chose to marry her. How about that? I think that would be hard to live with as well.
Live with? Probably the dad probably has a harder time living with someone else murdering his children. That's probably harder for him than her. Could we agree on that? Where's the conversation on the father and husband other than he's a piece of shit because he didn't know where to go at the drugstore?
Oh, we're going to get into that, guys, because remember what I talked about accountability? Guys, who is it that says this? Is it the manosphere that says believe all women, or is it the femisphere that says believe all women? Well, guess whose defense has come out and said that Lindsay Clancy did it? Lindsay Clancy's own attorney said that she killed these children. And yet this believe all women mantra, it doesn't count anymore. You say believe all women, and then when Lindsay Clancy's defense team themselves admits that she killed the children, you still don't believe this woman. Do you guys understand how crazy? We're going to get into the whole the husband did it thing. Of course, you guys are. I'm going to skip to the spoiler alert. There's absolutely no evidence that he did this at all. But the idea that it's like, believe all women, believe the victims, believe all women. Okay, well, she's literally saying that she killed them. Okay, I don't believe her. It's the husband. The husband killed him. That's where we are, guys. What does this go back to? Remember the big A word. Some of you are full of this. Some of you go to work every day. You got a family to feed. Maybe you grew up where you had somebody who had special needs in your family. Maybe you had parents that retired early and you had to take care of them. You people understand this word. The word is accountability. There's a few of you, though, who are watching this word. And you're like, yeah, accountability, whatever. I'm a victim. Nobody can make me a victim. Nobody can make me a victim. I was in the military. Nobody in the military could make me a victim. When I was in high school, nobody in high school could make me a victim. A girl breaks up with me. She can't make me a victim. Nobody can make me a victim. I could not imagine feeling so privileged and living in an existence where I decided that every single thing, every bad thing that happened to me as a person was because of discrimination. Because there's these big, powerful men somewhere that control the world and keep me from getting to my dreams and goals. What a fucking infantilized existence. I can't imagine me personally not taking accountability for every single thing in my life. I can't imagine that. That's wild. Guys, let me tell you something right now. I'm being ratioed, deplatformed. I'm being demonetized frequently on these different platforms. And you don't hear me complain about it. I will talk about it, but you won't hear me complain about it because I have an unbelievable group of people that I get to work with and solve problems with every day, and the greatest clients in the entire world. The fact that I get any views at all with my opinions, especially on a place like TikTok, the fact that I get any views at all is a miracle to begin with. But nobody is going to make me a victim. Could you imagine your entire worldview is based on the fact that other people are discriminating against you and that's why you can't win? Could you imagine that's your entire worldview? Do you understand? If you believe that, if you truly believe, and again, I'm going to ask you again, what core tenet of feminism holds women accountable for anything? Could you imagine that your whole life, you basically could attribute every single win and loss, every single one, to internalized misogyny and patriarchy, and you literally, every single L that you take in your entire life, none of them are your fault. Not only are you wrong, but you're incapable of improvement. The only way to improve is to recognize that everything is your fault, even when it's not your fault. There's 60-something people who work for me in the Men of Action program. If this program goes under, who are they going to look at? Who are they going to write articles about? They've already written 3 articles about me this year. One from the New York Post wrote an article about me. London Times wrote an article about me. And then Equimundo did a report about me where Wired Magazine and Fortune Magazine did a derivative article on that report that they wrote. And they put me in the report, the grift economy. If you guys want to go look that up, you can. If things go bad, it's not anybody else's fault. I'm sure as hell not going to blame benzos. Right? I'm not going to blame Lexapro. I'm not going to blame Ritalin or Adderall for my behavior. I'm not going to do any of that. If things go wrong, it's my fault. I live here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Unfortunate thing happened a few years ago. First round draft pick of the Las Vegas Raiders named Henry Ruggs ran over someone and killed them. A high-speed car crash while he was drunk. Could you imagine if his defense had said, well, you know, his state was impaired. He was drinking alcohol to reduce stress. So, you know, this doesn't really work. He should be let go. I don't understand why Henry Ruggs is in jail then. Why is he in jail? Because he's a man and men have to take accountability. If you guys want to look up the statistics for a man and a woman being convicted of the same crime, and by the way, this is going to come up in my feminism versus manosphere debate, women are frequently, and I don't have the exact number in front of me here, but we're talking about sentences over 1 year. Women are frequently given far less sentences, less strenuous sentences than men are for the same crime. And again, I understand men have higher testosterone. They are going to commit more crime. Just in case you were wondering, about 1.1 million men in the United States are incarcerated for sentences over a year. 85,000 women are. That's funny. That's actually it's a rounding error. But that's essentially what's going on. And so when it comes to these things, it's like, not only does feminism not hold women accountable, in general, we as a society don't hold women as accountable as we do men. And by the way, I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. I know this sounds crazy. I actually am okay with the fact, because there, in some cases, I'm not going to hold women to the same accord that I'm going to hold men, especially when I do understand that the thing is, you can't have it both ways. You can't say women are, I do believe women are more emotional than men, and I have data to back that up. I can look at data in the endocrine system when it comes to estrogen and testosterone. I can show you why women are more emotional than men. And then additionally, you can't have that, say women are more emotional than men, and then say, well, women should be held to all the same accountability standards that men are. They're just never going to be held to those standards. And it's fine. Women have a different role in society than men. In general, I know some women, let me point this out real quick. I had 2 squadron commanders when I was in the Air Force that were both female. They're both female pilots. They were really good. Well, one of them was a good pilot. One of them was not a great pilot, but they were terrific. They were terrific leaders. I'm not saying this is the case all the time in every case, but in general, women do hold a different place in society than men do. In general, not necessarily. If you don't believe that's the case, women are not discriminated against going into sewage. Why don't women go into sewage? Why don't women go into trash collection? There's no discrimination. You guys understand, if 1 million women wanted to get into sewage tomorrow, sewage would take them. Why don't women get into sewage? Why don't women get into plumbing? Why don't they do that? Bro, here's one of the most damning statistics against DEI of all time. You ready to hear this? In the United States, we have this belief that whenever there's some level of inequity, that it's always discrimination, meaning there's no inequity. So for instance, there's no DEI for women having arms as strong as a man, because nobody believes that men have stronger arms than women due to discrimination. There's no DEI for women catching up to men as far as how tall they are, because nobody believes that women being shorter than men is a function of discrimination. But there is DEI for women getting into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So what you could do is run an experiment, and you take a country where women are heavily encouraged to get into DEI, like Norway, and you know what you find? Do you find that heavily encouraged to get into STEM because of DEI in a place like Norway? What do you find? Do you find that women have just overrun have overrun STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics? No. In countries where women are more encouraged to get into STEM, they get into STEM less. Because men and women are different. And because women not getting into STEM is not a function of discrimination. Whoops. Can you imagine having every single part of your worldview be controlled by your belief that you're being discriminated against? How could you get out of bed? You're a child at that point. What do you have to contribute? You're just a child. All right, guys, let's go on to the next one here. I got so many for us to respond to. So we went through Crowder. Let's look at Tim Pool. Actually, no, we missed this one real quick. We already did Walsh, correct? Hold on, I want to make sure we did all of these. Yeah, so let's do this real quick. Let's talk to my man. Matt Walsh real quick. Give me 1 second. And go.
If you hate motherhood and hate your children and hate the world and everybody in it, that still does not excuse murdering your family. Just for the record. Now, until the last couple of weeks, even in my most cynical moments, I would not have thought it necessary to clarify that there is no valid excuse for methodically strangling your children to death. Apparently, I was not nearly cynical enough, which is a depressing fact all on its own. And with that said, here it is. Watch.
Lindsay Clancy is all of us somehow. Just one slip on the banana peel, and it could have been any of us.
Wait, what is this? Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can. Let me make this bigger so everybody can see it. Hold on. It says, when you have to take care of your 3 kids, clean the house, cook, do the laundry, an all-day interaction, blah, 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 spouse, because no babysitter, and it's just the same day. Hey, did you guys know that Lindsay Clancy did have a babysitter? Did you guys know that? She did. Interesting. Okay. Yo, why are you pouring water on your fucking child, bro? Yo, what is going on here, dude? You were such an angry wife to come home to. There was never any peace, and you were always overwhelmed. You hated being a mom. You hated being a wife.
Now, keep in mind, this is not a...
Hold on, but guys, I'm just curious. Like, do you think that these men who go to Marine Corps boot camp, do you think they loved every minute of it? Do you think the man who put the roof on your house in the summer in Tennessee or Texas or Louisiana, middle of the summer, it's 100 degrees, do you think they loved that? Or do you think they did that because they needed to bring money home to their family? What do you think it was? I'm actually a little bit disgusted by that one. I understand it must be difficult. I grasp that. I'm granting you that raising children would be difficult. What I need you to grant me is that men, for some reason, when having to deal with stress, I've been in a burning airplane several times, a few times over Iraq, a burning airplane. I don't know if I've ever told this story before. 2006, we fly over the over Egypt, over the Sinai Peninsula, and we get into Iraq, and we're about maybe 75 minutes over Iraq, and then all of a sudden a fire breaks out in the cockpit. It's a KC-135 Stratotanker, and I look at the captain's Tate Whitener. So I'm sitting facing right to the right because I'm a navigator in the KC-135, and I can smell smoke, and I can like see a little bit of smoke. And before I say shit, I grab the O2 mask and put it on, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm freaking out. Tate goes, he goes, yo, it smells like there's a fire. There's another air crew in the back of the plane, gets up in the front, climbs down into the hellhole with a fire extinguisher and blows out a fire. And we just fly to the base. We don't even say shit. Nothing happens. That was one of like 4 fires that I was involved with. Do you know what I did after that? You guys know what I did after that, right? I went to counseling. I went to, I called my girlfriend and I told her about my feelings. That's what I did. Me and the crew, we sat around with each other and we held hands and we just discussed how we felt about things. No, bitch. I went and ate a burger and I went and played some fucking basketball. That's what I did. I'm sorry if you don't like me for it. I'm sorry if it makes you mad that I'm able to deal with strenuous situations that you maybe couldn't deal with. I'm sorry if that was the case. I'm sorry if I'm able to forgive the woman who killed my father and you wouldn't be able to do that. I'm sorry that some of us are able to deal with high levels of stress. without killing our children. I'm sorry if that's an issue and you dislike me for that, but I'm telling you the reason why I'm saying this is not to brag. The reason why I'm saying this is because I don't know any other reality. I know one reality. And in this one reality, I am accountable for my own decisions and my own behavior. All of these people who hate the manosphere, your butthole must be clenching right now. You must be gnashing your teeth with anger. How dare this manosphere creator say that he's never a victim? Bitch, I'm never a victim. And you will never, ever hear me say that myself or anyone in my program is ever a victim. There's a dude right now who's obsessed with me. I don't know if this guy has like some gay predilection for me or whatever. This guy makes videos about me all the time, talking about I tell men to be victims. Fine, I'll give you $100 grand if you can find one time. Just use Hermes Agent. It'll scrape the transcript of every video I've ever made. Find one time where I've ever told men that they're fucking victims. Find one time where I've ever said that. You coward. You coward. No, bro, you're a coward. People don't like what. Sorry, I'm getting a little upset here. I don't mean to do this. I'm just, when I think about all the sacrifices of all the strong men and women that I served with, and then I hear this whole shit about my life sucks because I'm a victim. It's just really, it's disgusting, bro. It really sucks. It sucks to hear this. When you're like me and you come from a high school that had a 75% dropout rate and had never graduated more than 150, 200 people in history ever, Let me tell you one more time. Woodrow Wilson High School, 1996, Dallas, Texas, 75% dropout rate. Look it up if you think I'm bullshit, okay? To come from something like that, to go to UT Austin, and then to find my way into the U.S. military, and then get a job working in counterintelligence, because I did that. Nobody did that for me. Daddy's money cannot get you that gig. Daddy's money cannot make you an aviator in the Air Force. You got to work for that. Bro, for those of us who work our ass off, we don't have any patience for you. This is why this whole thing comes with immigration. You guys ever hear somebody who's legally here, who's legally in the United States, when it comes to immigration, they have less patience for illegal immigrants than white people do, because we busted our ass. I'm sorry if this is hard for you, but when I look at this, bro, this is disturbing to watch what I just saw.
A phenomenon confined to TikTok or only to women. Parents openly hating their children is something of a trend and being more and more normalized, although it's not an entirely recent trend. Plenty of adults today know the concept very well from their own childhoods. Even if you hate motherhood and hate your children and hate the world and everybody in it, that still does not excuse murdering your family. Just
wait, what? Wait, what? Hold on. Wait, what? Did I hear that right? Guys, do you understand that Matt Walsh just said that? Of course, I understand why he said it, but do you understand we live in a world where he has to say that? We live in a world where he has to say, hey, that doesn't excuse murdering your children. We live in a world. I'm sorry. Somebody just sent me a meme that says Candace Owens, and she's like, news report, Dolly Parton was about to turn against Israel. That's how they got Dolly. Hey, shout out to big fake boobs and tattoos. Shout out to Dolly Parton. Rest in peace. Dolly Parton was a great, great human being. All right, let's keep it going.
Just for the record. Now, until the last couple of weeks, even in my most cynical moments, I would not have thought it necessary to clarify that there is no valid excuse for methodically strangling your children to death. Apparently, I was not nearly cynical enough, which is a depressing fact all on its own.
You know what kind of drives me crazy? There are people on the right who are extremists. It's when I hear that Matt Walsh is an extremist. I think Matt Walsh has some pretty powerful, controversial opinions, but the idea that he's an extremist is strange. By the way, there's a lot of things Matt Walsh says I do not agree with. His whole idea especially with Walsh and Shapiro and even Patrick Bet-David, when it comes to the modern dating landscape, no offense, no disrespect, I don't think they have any idea what they're talking about. But the idea that he's an extremist is very strange to me.
And with that said, here it is, watch.
Lindsay Clancy is all of us somehow. Just one slip on the banana peel, and it could have been.
All right, cool. We've already gone through this one. Let's go to the next one here. We got another good one. So we went over Matt Walsh. This is an interesting one because I think it's a little bit more nuanced, and I think you guys will appreciate this. Stand by. Cancel.
From the Times of India, one of our favorite sources,
Hindustan?
Lindsay Clancy is obviously not guilty. Candace Owens blames Big Pharma for postpartum psychosis as trial nears end. I agree with Candace Owens.
No, you don't.
Big Pharma. I don't agree that that Lindsay Clancy.
So this is what I'm trying to say, guys. I don't want to be one-sided here because I actually kind of see where Tim is going with this one.
Clancy is not guilty in the sense that she shouldn't be held accountable for murdering her children.
Okay.
I'm agreeing with in the sense that I'm not going to, I say it to be somewhat sensational. Big Pharma is a disaster.
It is.
Nightmare problem. Women are overprescribed drugs. And, you know, as much as Jeremy Boring had one of the best posts ever. He's like, Lindsay Clancy was clearly suffering from mental issues. She was begging for help. The pharmaceutical treatments that she did not get were making things worse. I feel for this woman at the bottom, and she deserves the death penalty. Like, I understand the point he's making.
So here, guys, this is something that I hope that a lot of you do. I did not come up with my opinions based on what other influencers told me. I came up with my opinions based on data. And I happened to bump it after doing research. I happened to bump into an influencer who actually has the same viewpoint as me, meaning what Tim Pool just said is how I feel as well. Same thing. When I told the woman who killed my father, I hope you get help for your alcoholism, but you can do that in jail. I hope that this woman does get help for her postpartum depression, but she needs to do that from jail. But you guys I hope at least most of you can at least admit that this woman is a danger to society and should not be just free. Here's one of the problems that I have. When I listen to Candace Owens or when I listen to these women in pink outside the courthouse, they think not guilty by reason of insanity. They think not guilty, like vanilla not guilty. Vanilla not guilty. Like not even going to the halfway, not going to the nut house, nothing. Vanilla bean, Ben & Jerry's vanilla, not guilty. What? That's what, do you understand, guys? Do you understand? Okay, we're going to go over this a little bit. There are 4 different outcomes here. You know what? Let's do this. Let me see if I can pull this up right now. We're going to do a poll, okay? And the poll is Lindsay Clancy guilty? Okay, that's the poll. But here's the options. The one option is yes, murder 1, okay? The next option is yes, murder 2, okay? So that means it's not premeditated. And then the third one is going to be no reason of insanity. So she's not guilty by reason of insanity. And then the last one is no is innocent. I'm going to say innocent. Actually, what I mean is just not guilty, but I'm going to say innocent to just kind of prove the point. All right, so we're going to create this poll. And then we're going to show the poll. Start and show the poll. Okay. And hold on. Who won the debate? Stop poll. Let's see if this works. Start. There it is. We're gonna leave it. We'll leave it right there for right now. So you guys see yes, murder 1. So what you're gonna do in the chat, and I'm gonna let me open up the chat to everybody here. We're gonna open up the chat to everyone so you guys can see yourself chatting. If you put a 1 in the chat, that means yes, murder 1. 2 is yes, murder 2. 3 is no by reason of insanity, and 4 is no, she's innocent. Okay, so you're gonna write that. Okay, you guys see this? And by the way, you can do this. Those of you who are watching on Rumble, those of you watching on Kick, those of you watching on X, those of you watching on Facebook, those of you watching on YouTube, all these different platforms, you guys can do this as well. Instagram, TikTok, you guys cannot because you're not part of StreamYard. But if you guys want to vote on this, go to YouTube and you can vote on this yourself. Okay. And obviously, I know my audience is going to be a little bit biased, but I would like to see who actually believes that she's not guilty by reason of insanity and who thinks she's innocent. I just want to make it clear from what I heard Candace Owens say, she thinks that she's vanilla, not guilty. Vanilla, not guilty. Not guilty by reason of insanity, not guilty, period. Okay. Let's keep going.
Right. So, and I agree because I think most of us probably should agree on this. We are over prescribing women drugs for these issues. Well, for every issue.
It's been going on for decades. It's sickening. There is, like I said earlier, there's a population issue as well. They really popularized not just abortion, but the whole culture of not having children. And this is coming from the same place. But, then women were having children and they started medicating them. But honestly, the whole thing is getting crazy because a lot of people I know were put on drugs, including myself, very, very young, especially women. And then I don't know if you guys remember Homeland. During Homeland, she had bipolar. And I'm telling you, the surge of women that were prescribed bipolar drugs during that time was so crazy if you look at it. And so then came Adderall.
I just thought women were naturally
Look.
They are, but then came Adderall. Then they're adding Adderall.
I have
something else.
I get
I have
it.
a female friend. She's been following this the whole time, and I was talking to her about all of these.
You
Crazy
don't have a
women
female friend. You're lying.
throwing ice into a shower and just throwing meat out the windows or whatever they're doing.
Crazy.
And she's telling me like, yes, but don't get caught up in that. Even if that's the majority, make sure you're differentiating the women that are supporting Lindsay Clancy, not because they think she's innocent or she should be released or anything like that, but because there is so here's the point. The conservatives are focusing all on the women who are like, that could have been me. Like, you could murder your kids. And that's great to criticize, and I agree with it. But let's also point out some of the women that are supporting Lindsay Clancy are saying, when I was suffering, the doctors drugged me and screwed with my brain, and that's what they're actually mad about. Not that.
Yes. This is a good point. I don't mind this point. You guys need to understand, and I hope that some of you guys are nuanced enough to understand this. Do I think she should go to jail? Most likely, yes. For the rest of her life, most likely, yes. But is she also probably overprescribed by Big Pharma? Most likely, yes. And this is something we have to look at. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm just going to speak anecdotally as a guy who's been a coach for 18 years and has about 5,000 clients. I'm just going to speak anecdotally. The number of men that I've dealt with, and by the way, I don't have female clients, but I do have female friends who come to me and I try to help them for free. I'm a performance coach. I'm not a psychiatrist, okay? When I tell them, my guy friends, hey, go lift this weight, pick up this heavy object, play basketball with us, run up and down the court, then let's go to a club. Let's laugh and have fun. Let's go meet an attractive woman. Let's date a woman that we find attractive. It is crazy how often that depression goes away. It is crazy. As somebody, I tell you, I've had about 5,000 clients who've had dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of calls, one-on-one Zoom calls with clients talking about taking their own lives. Someone like me, again, I'm not claiming to be a doctor or psychiatrist. I'm just telling you, I've been coaching for 18 years. For someone like me who's had to deal with this, the amount of times where I've seen a man who was depressed, who got a hot girlfriend, and then all of a sudden he wasn't depressed is crazy high. Crazy high. The amount of people that I know that have gone to a psychiatrist or psychologist and gotten prescribed medication and they weren't any happy is also crazy high. But again, this is just anecdotal. My point is, I have someone who's very close to me right now. She has some mood swings. And I said, 95% of your problems are because you don't go to the gym. It's true. I'd say this to most of you. 95% of your emotional problems is because you are not going ham in the gym. Go hard in the gym. I promise you, all of a sudden, because what happens is your brain was set up to solve ancestral problems. Your brain was set up for survival, and you live this callus-free existence where you just doom scroll on your phone. Go to the gym, lift heavy weights, build calluses on your hands, and do things you don't like. I told you this before. One-legged hack squats are my kryptonite. I hate doing them. They hurt my back, my knees, everything. I hate one-legged hack squats. So the days I do one-legged hack squats, I put on some sweatpants. I get caffeinated up like a motherfucker, tons of pre-workout, and I go in there and I do those one-legged hack squats while listening to dubstep. I gladly go and do the thing I don't want to do. And you know how good I feel afterwards? You know how good it feels when you don't want to get in the cold plunge and you just do it anyway, and you get out and you feel like you survived something. You know how good it feels to jump out of an airplane? I know most of you have never jumped out of an airplane. I have. If you jump out of an airplane and then you land and you're just like, I did this on my own. I pulled the chute. I did not jump tandem. I had two guys jump out with me, but I did pull my own chute. And to land that thing and to be okay, bro, it's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like your survival. To go through Air Force survival school in Spokane, Washington. I forgot the name of the base right now. It's not McCord. It's somebody remind me right in the chat, the Air Force base in Spokane. To go through Air Force survival school, 17 days, getting your ass beat, getting chased around in the fucking woods, and then you get out of that and you make it out of that. It feels so good to do that thing that you didn't want to do. So I recommend to people, instead of taking a drug and putting it inside of you where it turns up the knob in one part of your brain, but turns down the knob in another part of your brain, go out and do some shit. Chop down a tree, throw a football, do some shit, touch the world. Because the problem with the benzos and the therapist is this. I'm gonna ask you guys a question, really, real quick. Look at me. We're family right here. We're gonna have family time. I need you to listen to what I'm saying. In the pre-Pleistocene epoch, let's go back to the last ice age. Where were the benzos? In the pre-Pleistocene epoch, let's go back to the last ice age, where were the therapists? But I can tell you, during that time period, there was the hunting, the activity, the problem solving, sometimes the violence, the lifting heavy things. Those things existed. When you do those things that your ancestors did, those things will make you happier. The pharmaceutical company would lose a hell of a lot of money if you just listened to what I just said. Nothing in the world makes me feel more at peace than taking my homeboys out to a park and throwing a fucking football as hard and as far as you possibly can. Nothing puts me more at peace. And the number of people that I know that do things like that is so minuscule. But you know, you'll go get that Adderall, won't you? You'll get that Ritalin, won't you? Go lift things, go deal with some strenuous thing and accomplish a goal that you want to accomplish even when it sucks. Okay. Let's keep going. I'm going to get to super chats here in a little bit, guys. Stay with me. Stay with me. 1 second. And bang.
And again, I want to clarify. The women that are celebrating her and wanted to go free and are blaming the husband are nuts. The women that are claiming that they could murder their kids are nuts. And if, like, you see this video, woman's like holding her kid and like, same, Lindsay. It's like, you need to call, child services.
Absolutely. Look,
but I just want to say to the women that are complaining about big pharma drugging them when they shouldn't have been drugged, I agree with it.
I agree with that, but there's two separate things. And this is also
from the Times of India, one of our favorites.
Nice. I love it. Tim Pool, I think with a little bit more of a moderate take, and I actually really, really like that take. I thought was good. And then another one, gigantic one, because I real talk, Matt Walsh and you see conservatives like turning on Candace. Here's another one here real quick. Osmond Gold. He is kind of a new, I never really saw him as like the conservative content creator, but I'm kind of seeing him as that a little bit more now.
This really comes as no surprise to anyone. But Candace Owens, here we go. Let's see if there's a longer clip for it. Okay.
I made my thoughts clear on this the moment that she was arrested, the moment that it made the news. Lindsay Clancy is obviously not guilty. There are a fleet of doctors who should be imprisoned for what they put her on. I regularly speak out against Big Pharma. They get away with murder all the time. And in this case, they are getting away with the murder of really her 3 children, but also completely destroyed her life. When Lindsay Clancy, in my opinion, is not guilty. She was put into
I don't know why Israel did this.
An intentional psychosis when she probably just needed to give her kids away for a weekend to get better.
I got to hear that again. That was.
She was put into
I don't know why Israel did this.
An intentional psychosis when she probably just needed to give her kids away for a weekend to get better, but they constantly give you these drugs that do not make things better.
Yeah.
And the cocktail of 10 pharmaceuticals that she was on is absolute madness. Absolute madness. I made my thoughts clear on.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Obviously, she's not. I see Candace. She says, obviously, she's not guilty. It's Big Pharma. It's Big Pharma. Have you lost your fucking mind? I literally cannot even imagine.
Hey, shout out to TikTok and YouTube. Please do not ban my channel because of the person that's on the channel right now. Please, I understand that you guys are not pro freedom of speech, but I think everybody has a chance to speak. Please do not ban my channel just because of the person that's on the screen right now.
There are stories of mothers who will lift up wreckage of a car to save their children trapped underneath. Women will die. Mothers will die for their children. They'll kill to avenge their murdered children. And this psycho holds down her 3 babies, strangles them to death. You're a mother yourself, you sick bitch. You're a mother yourself. What is wrong with you? And she says, obviously she's not guilty. It was Big Pharma. Candace, come back to reality. Come back to God.
She's gone, by the way. Candace is gone. You're not getting her back. She is already, that train has left the station. It's off the rails and it's falling down a cliff. Okay, she's done.
God, come back.
Yo, I remember last week all these Candace supporters talking about me taking money and all this other shit about just personal attacks about me and my life and how stupid I was. And then seems like all of them have turned on her. Interesting. Here's the reason why you guys have turned on her, because she's neither one of these things. She's not pro Lindsay Clancy or pro Tyler Robinson's a patsy. She's neither. She's just she needs to say whatever she needs to say to go viral. She is the Skip Bayless of politics. Please understand. I believe in what I say. And let me say one other thing. I do not deliberately want the harm or intend harm on anyone, even people who hate me. I don't believe that. And this is the difference. I will never, now that granted, I will never be as popular as Candace Owens. I will never be 10% as popular as Candace Owens. And the reason why is because I'm always going to give you guys, or at least I'm going to try to give you guys, a reasoned, measured response. You guys heard, I just had Tim Pool. I just played the Tim Pool clip. Tim Pool said he can empathize for the fact that a woman might be going through postpartum. I can empathize with it as well. In this case in particular, like I said before, when women, again, I cannot believe this is a stat. I cannot believe this is a stat. When women use postpartum depression as a defense in infanticide, they get off somewhere between 33 and 50% of the time. I can't even believe that. Do you understand why this is so crazy? That means it happens so often that there's an actual statistical record of this happening. That's the part that is mind-blowing to me. How are we living in this world?
Back to Earth. What is the matter with you? Could you imagine, and I'm sure for some people, sadly, it doesn't even require any imagination. Imagine if you're a guy and your wife is on TikTok sympathizing with this sicko. And I've seen it. I've seen TikToks of women holding their own children in their arms and saying, we need justice for Lindsay Clancy.
That's crazy.
Imagine that's your wife. Imagine that's the mother of your children. If I had a family, if that was my wife, I would have her 5150 immediately.
Fucking exactly. That is, see, they've got to be institutionalized. You've got to institutionalize them. Yes.
I would take the children and I'd bring them to my parents' house. And I'd say, you stay the fuck away from me and my kids and my family.
That's right.
Imagine your wife, the mother of your children.
That? It's the crazy. You're nuts.
Yeah, 5150. So I was at Firehouse Subs the other day. Once a week, I like to go to Firehouse Subs. I like to cheat. Okay, you could talk shit. I'm 11% body fat. Eat a dick. But I like to go to Firehouse Subs once a week. I like to have a little Diet Dr. Pepper and the New York Steamer. I like this is my cheat meal. And when I go there, I was in there as a homeless man, came in with no shirt on, and he started screaming at everybody and turned around. And I looked at the teenage girl that was behind the cash register, and I said, you, because if you just say it in general, nobody will do this. I was like, I need you to call 311 right now, and I need you to call a 5150 on this man who's in here right now. That's what I said. So 5150 is when you have somebody, a psych eval. That's what you need. And when there's a psych eval, they can be held for 72 hours to make sure that they're not a danger to themselves. And so she did. She went and called 311. You don't need to call 911. You can, but you don't need to call 911 if it's a non-emergency. This man was not in imminent danger of killing anybody, but he might have hurt himself. So I said, call 311, and I need you to call 5150. And by the way, if I had not pointed at that one girl, if I just said it out loud, nobody would have done it. They talk about this. When you want someone to call 911, you point to say, you call 911. So I did that, and that's essentially what happened. That's what a 5150 is, if you guys were ever wondering, right? You guys know the numbers, like 187. What is that? It's a murder. It's a homicide.
So you got to go in the box.
Is on TikTok posting. And listen, I know on some level, maybe that's harmless. Women will do and say anything for attention, no matter how disgusting and vile it is.
Yes.
They'll post that to signal something socially, solidarity, empathy with women.
Yes.
You know, but it's like, could you imagine? Your children are being held in the arms of their mother.
Somebody said New York Steamer sounds gay. It does sound gay. It's good too, bro. It's good. I don't even care. I like the New York Steamer, all homo. I do not care.
Well, she's filming herself on TikTok saying, I stand in solidarity with this other mother that murdered her 3 kids.
Yeah.
How could there be any tolerance for something like this?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a moment when people of conscience, this is a moment when anybody that has any semblance of integrity and of a conscience has to stand up and call it out and say, this is wrong. This is evil. Sometimes there are gray areas. Sometimes it's a tough call. This is not one of those times. True. This is as black and white as it gets.
That's the reason why they're defending it, by the way. The reason why they're defending it is because it's so black and white. It's because if they can exert their power.
Oh, yes. Oh, I did not watch this whole Osmongold clip, but this is another point I was going to make later on. which is if they win this battle, you know, that you say give them an inch, they'll take a mile. If they win this battle, they can now put, so for instance, I'm talking about feminists in general. If they win this battle of we cannot be held accountable for even committing felonies because of our emotional state, what that means then is now they can push the standard by which they can be held accountable to an infinite place. Infinite lack of accountability that will happen.
Enforce their will on the population and to create this miscarriage of justice. This will mean that they have total control over any sort of discourse or anything that's going on. That's the reason why they're not doing it despite the fact that it's ridiculous. They're doing it because it's ridiculous. That's the point.
Nice. Okay. Osman Gold, I thought that was pretty good, man. Hey, real quick, a couple things I want to say. Thank you all guys for joining me. I love doing these live streams. I did not know I would love these so much. Also, please vote. If you guys see up at the top there, just type a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. Yes, if you think it's murder 1. Yes, if you think it's murder 2. Number 3, if you think no, it's reason of insanity. Number 4, if you think she's innocent, you can just type whatever. I'm just kind of curious to see how this all goes. Thank you guys for doing this. Please do me a favor. Those of you, especially you guys watching on YouTube, turn on, make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Most of the people who follow me are not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed and make sure you turn on the bell notification. You guys know I do live streams 2 to 3 days a week. I can't always do them because I have like 3 other jobs. If you guys don't know, I have a podcast, I have a company I run. But when I can, I do these live streams. This is literally the most fun thing I do. Oh, is my girl here? Oh, is she here? Okay. Yeah, this is the most fun shit I do. I can't get off. I love doing this. Well, I have this whole setup with this is LED board behind me, but I am in Las Vegas. But I want to say thank you guys so much. And in telling you guys thank you, we're at the 1 hour mark. Let's get on to some super chats. Rational Redneck, shout out to him. Hate to spoil the premise of the stream, but she is she guilty? Yes. That's funny. Next one here. Gab. Hey, I think she's 100% guilty. Okay. Thank you, Gab. Here we go, man. Hey, thank you for the 1999, brother. There is way too much cope here. I agree, brother. But it was so funny, man. It was so funny. All these names everyone called me when I disagreed with Candace on the Tyler Robinson thing. Michael, you've got no evidence. Okay. Yeah. Just that there was his DNA was on the bullets. His DNA was on the gun. His DNA was on the blanket that the gun was wrapped up in. His DNA was on the screwdriver. He said in a text message that he was on the surveillance. You saw him on the surveillance. And then he admitted in several different instances that he was going to commit this crime and he was trying to get away with it. But other than that, there was no evidence whatsoever. It was all Candace. Candace is right. Guys, don't be sycophants. You notice there's nobody here I believe 100%. I'm a huge, huge fan of Richard Reeves, and there's things that he says that I don't agree with. I'm a huge fan of James Sexton, and there's things he says that I don't agree with. And one of my best friends is Rollo Tomasi, and he says things that I don't agree with. Don't be a sycophant just because you like somebody. Don't be a sycophant. Don't agree with me either. Go find an AI model and tell it to disagree with you. Tell it to tell you why you are wrong. The most powerful thing that artificial intelligence can do that we don't use it for is telling you when you're wrong. Make it tell you that you're wrong. Have it steel man your argument. You will be far more. One of the best things I think about AI is when you do debates with people. And then you can it really causes you to not have extreme viewpoints when you use AI, because what happens is, well, I've debated an anti-evolutionist, a guy who doesn't believe in the moon landing, and a guy who doesn't believe in gravity. And I debated all 3 of them, and I knew all of their arguments before they brought them up. Because of AI, I can actually go through and preemptively discount all of their argument. Any of the idiots, the moon landing denial. Oh, we didn't go through the Van Allen belt. Bitch, you don't even know what the Van Allen belt is. You don't even know that James Van Allen said we could go through the Van Allen. You don't know anything. But when you deal with that, what happens is it becomes harder and harder to be conspiracy theorists, because the Gish Gallop, that's when you keep switching the subject, which is what Candace Owens does. The Gish Gallop doesn't work when the opponent already has an answer for every single one of your conspiracies. This used to not be public. You could just throw things at people and they wouldn't have the ability to defend themselves. This is the reason why in jurisprudence, there's this thing called discovery. If you guys ever watch, I used to love Perry Mason when I was a teenager. I used to watch Perry Mason, and there's one episode where Perry Mason just brings, it's not on the witness list. Perry Mason brings a donkey into the courthouse to surprise everyone at the end. You know, you can't do that in real life. There's discovery. Both sides have to be privy to all the information. Well, you can't. In a debate, you don't have to have discovery. You can drop things on people that they don't know how to respond to. Well, that's not the case anymore because of AI. You can actually conquer someone's crazy ass beliefs. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. Here we go. Let's go. Juan Max. 10,006 or 1,006. Thank you for the $4.99. Massachusetts is crazy. It's the only state that has prosecution that the prosecution has to prove she's not right mentally. Every other state, it's the defense's job. Wow. Okay. The defense has to prove. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Wow. So she might get away with this. Okay. I'm more dangerous than a bear. Just saying. Okay. 199. Thank you, brother. I actually disagree with you. If you've ever seen a grizzly bear up close, bro, it is no joke. She'll be found not guilty for the wrong reason. Not guilty. Okay. Here's the thing. If she's found not guilty by reason of insanity and has to spend the rest of her life in a mental institution, I think we all need to say, if you disagree, say I disagree, but just chill out about it. Don't make this about your whole life. Don't like, is it a miscarriage of justice? Maybe, but it's not a huge miscarriage of justice. A huge miscarriage of justice would be if she's found not guilty, like vanilla not guilty. And she's walking around doing podcasts being like, all these she's on Call Her Daddy, and Alex Cooper's like, you're so brave. You're so brave for you're so brave, Lindsay. You're so brave for what you did. You're brave. Guys, do you realize that the argument was that she was going through psychosis, but she found the exercise band and then took her first child downstairs? So she knew how to find the exercise band. She knew how to use her hands. She had motor skills. And walked her child downstairs and then strangled him, and then went and found another child and took him down and strangled him, and found another child and took him down and strangled him. And also told her husband to go to the CBS while she was doing it. Psychosis, right? Like you're hearing voices and seeing shit. I know people who are not that productive who don't have psychosis. I know people that's very productive for hearing voices in your head. That's a very productive, industrious woman to be able to pull all of that off while she's hearing voices in her head. That's all I'm saying. I got friends who can't even get out of bed in the morning, but I was able to kill 3 children while I was listening to voices in my head. That's incredible. That is a industrious woman for sure. Incredible. I'm sorry. I don't mean to joke about this, but I just think so many of you just have a feeling about the case, but you don't want to look at the case. Oh, all right. Next one here. This is Whiskey Yankee. Believe all women only counts when it's a man to blame. For sure. You don't say believe all women. Then she said her defense says that she killed the children, and you're saying that it was the husband. So I guess we don't believe all women right now. Next one here is thank you for your service. Thank you, Aram Live. Thank you for the $9.99, man. I appreciate that, brother. And last one here, $1.99. Not accountable in the state of Massachusetts. Hey, guys, no accountability in the state of Massachusetts. Hey, guys, I want to point out one other thing. I am decently sized in the manosphere. As far as my course, I'm probably top 3, top 5 in the entire manosphere is like how big my course is. And I will probably make $60 from this live stream. Do you remember this bullshit in that Equamundo article talking about streams where you're making $10,000 a stream? 10,000. Equamundo, honestly, there's no one manosphere. If the manosphere was an actual organization, they should sue Equamundo for fucking for libel. That is ridiculous, bro. Bro, we make no money. 99% of manosphere creators do not make $1 million a year. Let me say it again. Quote me on this. Debate me on this. 99% of manosphere creators do not make $1 million a year. There is no way that the manosphere is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I'm sorry. I know I was off that. We talked about that last time. I'm still not off it. I'm going to bring it up to anybody who wants to debate me on this, and I'm going to humiliate you because every time I bring it up and every time these people who do no research, well, the manosphere is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Really? I'll give you $100,000 if you want to come on my show and prove to me. You got to go mathematically, creator by creator, you get to $2 billion. You know what? I put that out there. It's $100,000. I haven't had a single person take me up on it. Not one. Isn't that weird? Isn't that strange? Isn't that strange that that's what's happening here? Because you would figure somebody would be trying to take me up on it. That's $100,000. But nobody wants to take me up on it. Isn't that weird? All right, here we go. I want to show you guys. This is like the worst part of the internet, and for both. Like I'm like, this is how bad things have gotten. I want to show you guys real quick. This is going mega viral here. This clip. I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. This one made me laugh a little bit.
Be quiet, because they did.
I've had it with you.
Oh my God! They should be commended. They didn't kill their children. She's a murderer.
I
These women
can't-
are cheering.
I'm done.
These are man-hating women that are standing outside. This is what it's about. They think the husband did it. They're crazy. They've lost their mind.
Do you know why
they're waving for a murderer?
Do you know why the woman is in a wheelchair? Did you even notice that she's
Couldn't care less. She's a murderer.
Because she jumped out the window after this
So
happened.
she should have. I'd have
didn't
pushed
even-
her. They say that Lindsay was in psychosis. I think these women are suffering from psychosis. They've been watching too many true crime Netflix dramas. You know, this.
No, they're not. They're watching you. They're watching TikTok. They're watching TikTok. There's no. They're not watching true crime dramas. They're watching TikTok. TikTok is telling them that this is okay. One more time. I'm gonna ask this one more time. Ready? Everybody, stop what you're doing. I want to hear this. Contact your favorite feminist and ask them this question. What core tenet of feminism holds women accountable for anything? What core tenet of feminism holds women accountable for anything? And then what core tenet of, you could also ask what core tenet of feminism does not blame men for anything, but that actually isn't true. There's a few things where women have what they called internalized misogyny, or they enforced patriarchy. And so the only place where women are held accountable in feminism is when they're not feminist enough. If you don't believe me, I've tried. I've asked several different AI models. I've talked to several different people. I cannot find one single tenet of feminism that holds women accountable for anything. For anything. I'm not telling you women aren't accountable. I know some extremely accountable women. They happen to also not be feminists. But what I'm saying is, what core tenet of feminism tells women that they are accountable for their own actions and behaviors? Give me any core tenet of feminism, okay?
Was an incredibly privileged woman, incredibly wealthy. She had a nanny, and she's still complaining that she needed help. She could not have got more help from the system that she already have received. This is a murderer who strangled her children one by one. One of the boys ran away, and she chased him down and killed him.
Lori Watkins.
What you just said was absolutely disgusting.
Thank you.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you.
And you can hear that he's not. Okay.
Why is this true?
You clearly don't care, so pipe down.
I don't care. And by the way, men watching this, if you have a woman sat next to you on the sofa who is defending this murderer, you got to think deeply about this. I've seen weddings.
So we need to have some empathy.
Talk to your women and find out what are they thinking. They're defending this woman. It's
I don't think
insane.
anybody's defending what she did, but you can have empathy for what she went through and how she.
I know many women that this has happened to. No, they did not kill their children, but they also, what you failed to mention.
They should be commended because they did.
I've had it with you.
Oh my God. They
And
should be
your
commended. They
sexism
didn't
and
kill their children. She's a murderer.
I
These women
can't.
are cheering.
I'm done.
They should be
Be
commended
quiet,
because they did.
please. I've had it with you.
Great. So that is like the edge. And part of this argument has been started by, I told you the kindling came from Candace. All right, let's go to this one. Guys, ready? You guys ready to understand? So I'm trying to be empathetic towards other people. I truly am. I want to let you guys know that I'm not trying to be not empathetic. I am trying to understand both sides of this argument. So I want you guys to work with me here because we're going to try to work together. Actually, let me see if I can get this positioned a little bit better so you guys can see it better. Here we go, like this. We'll do it about right, like that. We'll set it up like that. We're going to watch this. This is the real issue with the Lindsay Clancy case. This woman, from my understanding, is like she's in forensics. So I want you guys to listen up because I think what happens is both sides are wrong, and this woman is going to fix it for you. Is everybody ready to listen? You guys are sitting there with your friend who's like a feminist or whatever, somebody who especially if you have somebody, hey, man, I fucking hate Michael Sartain. I can't stand that shit that he puts out, that misogynistic manosphere shit. It's these men that are the problem. Men. Those people who are there, please, will you just take them by the hand, lead them over them, get them a drink, get them a slice of pizza, have them sit down because they need to watch this video so that we can all understand better what's going on in the way we need to look at things.
Think about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases for just 1 second.
Yeah, so just so you guys understand, because maybe some of you guys didn't hear that correct. She said, stop thinking about these kids as people. Think about them as ceramic vases. Let's try this one more time because I want to make sure you guys heard it perfectly.
Stop thinking about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases for just 1 second for me, okay? I'm a forensic scientist and a former CSI. There is a lot of confusion about the actual issue in the Lindsay Clancy case.
I can't imagine why she's a former CSI. I can't imagine what happened there.
The issue is whether she was in psychosis at the moment that she killed her children, which would make her not criminally responsible. Basically, she would go to a psych hospital instead of a prison. Psychosis can be difficult to understand. So to help me make this point, I want you to think of these kids as if they were very expensive ceramic vases in a museum.
Okay, is everybody doing this? I want to make sure, because I think just to be fair to her, the CSI here, just to be fair to her, I want to make sure you guys are all thinking about the kids as ceramic vases. Okay, got it. No, I understand. I can't imagine. Why did Trump win? I don't under. Does anyone know why Trump won? I don't know. I'm so confused. How did Kamala Harris not defeat this methodology? I don't. No idea. Let's keep going here.
And instead of thinking about psychosis, we're going to think about epilepsy. So imagine that Lindsay is in a museum and she is a person with epilepsy. She's had seizures before in the past. She maybe hasn't even been diagnosed with epilepsy. She's just been having seizures for a couple of months, one here, one there. She's been going to her doctors and saying, hey, this is the symptom I'm having. I've been having a seizure. And they're trying to get.
From my understanding, she was already, as a nurse, reporting that she was on, oh man, what is the name of the drug? It was for several months before this. So it wasn't a couple of months. It was more than this. And here's the other thing. I want to look up. I'm not accusing Lindsay Clancy of this because I don't know if it's the case, but is it possible that she was shopping around for more medication? Because some people do this. You guys know one of the biggest abusers of prescription drugs are medical professionals. Look that up if you don't think. You guys watch The Pit. It was a really great example. It was a doctor who was prescribing or stealing benzos from the hospital. Is very common for people who work in a hospital, work in the medical profession. Remember, this woman is a maternity nurse. I believe that's what she is. Lindsay Clancy. It's very common for people who work in the medical profession to end up abusing some prescription drugs. Very common. I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out that this may be what's going on here. It's something we may have to look into.
Her on the right medication. So she has a medical history of complaining to her doctors about seizures, and they've given her a couple different medications, and she's saying like, hey, it's not working. I'm still having these seizures. Hey, that's kind of what happened with Lindsay Clancy. She was having a lot of depression, anxiety, and mental health symptoms. She was being treated by a doctor. She hadn't really been properly diagnosed, and they were tinkering with her medications, trying to get it right. So now epileptic Lindsay is walking through this museum, and there are these 3 priceless ceramic vases there, each sitting on a little stoop. And what we know happens next for a fact is that Lindsay breaks those priceless vases. They are damaged beyond repair. They cannot be fixed.
Yes. I think I see someone else on the screen who cannot be fixed. I'm just looking. I spy someone or someone else who cannot be fixed. The fact, it's not just the fact that her analogy I reject, and you should as well. It's that she is talking to us as if that she's a CSI, and I understand she may grasp forensics, but we don't need forensics here. Everyone has admitted facts and evidence, Your Honor, that who did the killing. But she's not a licensed psychiatrist, but instead she's explaining it like this. And what's happened is, one more time, if you come from a mentality that you aren't accountable to begin with, then it's much easier to turn children into expensive vases.
Everybody knows that Lindsay did it. And she herself said, oh my God, I broke those vases. I can't believe I did that. And the museum curator is saying, you did that on purpose, and I'm going to prosecute you for damaging my vases. And she's saying, no, I had a seizure. I couldn't control what was happening. My body was acting without me. It's not my fault I had a seizure. That is what is happening in this case. She's saying, yes, I killed the children, but I was in psychosis, so I was not in control. So although I did it, and I am solely responsible for killing the children.
Wait, I'm solely responsible.
Breaking the vases, I'm not criminally responsible, which means you can't put me in prison.
Okay, so here's one thing I do want to give this woman some credit, even though her analogy is horrible. Horrible. She is saying that what she's saying is Lindsay Clancy should spend the rest of her life in an institution. I will tell you right now, I'm 60-40 against that. I'm 60% from what I've seen, 60% probably second-degree murder, 40% she could spend her rest of her life in a mental institution because she could be crazy. I haven't seen anything to prove to me that there's no way she was psychotic. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen the smoking gun there. But if you want to look at the preponderance of evidence, it's just too many things. It's too many. Pick up the band, go grab the kid, go grab the next kid, call the husband, make sure he's gone, grab the next kid, grab the knife, cut the wrists, jump off here. The voices, I heard the voices at 6:23 and 6:16. And I was like, there's too many. Bro, I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I'm not a morning person. I wake up in the morning. I don't even remember where I'm at. I'm just like, oh, all this kind. And I don't have psychosis. I don't. And this woman, I'm just trying to say that I know people who are not psychotic, who are not as productive as Lindsay Clancy is when she murders her children. TikTok deleted. You have been permanently banned from TikTok. We will never let you have another TikTok account again. Sorry, it's a TikTok just wrote me. All right, let's keep going. These jokes write themselves.
I need to go to a hospital.
By the way, this isn't funny. That what happened to Lindsay Clancy and what happened to her children is not funny. What's funny is the woman making the analogy about the vases.
All of the testimony that we are hearing from people in this trial saying Lindsay was normal when they went to lunch with her, or she seemed normal earlier in the day of the murders when she went to the doctor's office. None of that really matters, because the question isn't, hey, was Lindsay having a seizure at breakfast? The question is, was Lindsay having a seizure when she broke the vase? So the only thing that really matters is, was she in psychosis at the moment that Patrick left the house and she killed the children?
No. At the moment she told Patrick to leave the house, and then she went and methodically killed all 3 children, not at the same time. That the problem is, I'm curious if this content creator, is open to the fact that she might not have been in psychosis when she did that.
And in order to answer that—
oh, let me tell you one other thing. We don't even talk about this. She may actually have been in psychosis at several points in her life and not been in psychosis when she killed her children.
we can look through her medical records and see, look, she had all of these symptoms of epilepsy. Look, she had all of these mental health symptoms. So I can't say I broke these vases because I had a seizure, because I have no history of epilepsy. So it really wouldn't make any sense. But Lindsay does have a documented history of mental health issues, which makes this a viable defense for her. Nobody saw her have a seizure. Nobody saw her in psychosis. So it's difficult to determine what was actually happening.
That part is incredibly true. This is a super viable defense. You guys remember what I said before? In cases where a woman is claiming defense by reason of insanity for postpartum infanticide, she gets off. She is found not guilty 50 to 33% of the time. What?
That moment. Now we can look at her the next day. So after she broke the vases, was she in a post-ictal or post-seizure state? Well, in this situation, we can't really tell if she was coming out of psychosis, because after her suicide attempt, she was in the hospital, she was intubated, she couldn't be assessed by mental health practitioners that night. She could not be assessed by mental health practitioners until a couple of days later, once she didn't have the tube in her throat anymore, once she could speak. So it doesn't matter if she broke the vase or not. We know she did. And it doesn't matter if she was able to hold and touch the vase that morning without breaking it. It only matters if she had a seizure at the moment she broke the vase. It only matters if she was in psychosis that night at the moment she killed the children. Nothing else matters. I hope that helps. Probably not. Stop thinking.
Nice. Got it. Okay. Stop thinking that. Remember this. This is the part that's most important.
Think about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases.
You know, I got to be honest with you guys. Maybe this is a weakness of my own psychology. I can't do that. I cannot stop thinking about them as people. Maybe I'm the one who screwed up, but I can't. One more time, guys, please make sure you please vote. For those of you, put a 1 in the chat. You guys see the it's up here on the top right of the screen. Put a 1 in the chat if you think it's yes, murder 1. 2 in the chat if you think it's yes, murder 2. 3 if you think no by reason of insanity. And 4 if you think no, she's innocent. Okay, please put that in the chat. Any chat, it could be Rumble. Let me make sure the Rumble chats are being counted. Give me 1 second. Let me see real quick. Shout out to everybody watching on Rumble. Appreciate this. Let me see here. Yes, thank you guys for all checking this out. You guys can see it as well. All right, good. Let's keep going. Man, to get 92%. Guys, I gotta be honest with you. I don't think she's going to get murder 1. I feel you guys. I understand that you're angry, but I don't think she's getting murder 1. I'm gonna be real with you. Murder 1 is hard. That is going to be hard to prove. If she gets murder 1, like, I'm not going to say I'm going to be blown away surprised, but in the state of Massachusetts, they are liberal as shit. You think she's going to get murder 1? I don't know how that's going to happen. Man, I don't. Unless you're a Trump supporter, you're not getting murder 1 in Massachusetts. I don't know how that's going to happen. Let's go to the next one. Here we go. All right, guys, one of the people that I like to watch, I'm going to recommend this dude for all of you. It's Elias, Ilyas, Men's Advice. Elias Men's Advice. I show his stuff a lot. I think he is probably the most fair and balanced dude I've seen on a lot of these topics. He also gets attacked because he's so thorough in his dismantling of people. He gets attacked harder than anyone I've seen by, like, some of these content creators, these very specious liberal content creators. It's very rarely Republicans that come after him, but we'll see here. Okay, this is Elias right here. Let's check out this video, and you guys tell me what you see. This is more for those of you who are coming into this case and you're like, I don't know anything about the case, this video is going to be a little bit more for you. So check this out, guys.
Astounding show of support today for Lindsay Clancy. Hundreds of women, all dressed in pink, cheered the accused mom as she arrived in a police caravan for her murder trial. Supporters ran across the field to greet Lindsay. Some came with their babies.
19 days before Lindsay Clancy killed all 3 of her children, she was discharged from one of the top psychiatric hospitals in America. And literally the day before the killings, she spoke to her own psychiatrist. Neither diagnosed her with psychosis. So did multiple mental health professionals completely miss what was happening to Lindsay, or was there simply no psychosis for them to see?
Now, here's the thing. He's asking a great question. I have 100% been very close with a woman who was having I don't want to be very specific, but seizures, hearing voices, a lot of this stuff. And then she would go talk to her medical professional, her therapist, and she would just basically gaslight her therapist and tell her that everything was okay. So it definitely is possible for you to be suffering from psychosis. I actually know quite a few women I've seen before clearly have borderline personality disorder, and they don't get diagnosed with it. They get diagnosed with something like ADD. No, you have BPD. Like you're waving up a gun around, talking about killing yourself multiple times. Clearly, this person has BPD. But a lot of times what will happen is the therapist doesn't want to put that stigma on a female, and the therapist is 95% of the time a female, doesn't want to put that stigma on a female, so the diagnosis doesn't get diagnosed correctly. I'm not saying that's what happened in the Lindsay Clancy case here. What I'm saying is, unless you're not with somebody 24/7, it's impossible for a medical care professional to say that she was psychotic or not. This is actually, I'm actually saying something in her favor right now. So just because they didn't diagnose her beforehand and she was released from the hospital doesn't mean that she didn't have psychosis.
Let's go back. Lindsay had struggled with anxiety before and had even seen a therapist after her second child was born. But after Callan, her third kid, was born in May 2022, things actually seemed pretty good at first. Patrick had 12 weeks of paternity leave and described that summer as great. Lindsay was supposed to return to work only in the fall. But as that date approached, her anxiety got significantly worse. She extended her leave and eventually never returned to work. Then came severe insomnia, depression, and increasingly serious mental health problems. Over the next 4 months, Lindsay was prescribed 13 different psychiatric medications. You might have seen that number online, but it doesn't mean she was taking all 13 at once. Different drugs were started, stopped, and adjusted by multiple providers. By December, Patrick described Lindsay as being in a big spiral. She was severely sleep deprived, increasingly depressed, and talking about suicide. And most importantly, she told Patrick she was having intrusive thoughts about harming the children. Patrick asked,
guys, I'm sorry, I you guys could hear it, but I didn't have the video up. Please forgive me for that, and I won't do that again, I promise. But also, last week, when I was on here, I was using the wrong audio. I was using the microphone on my laptop. I'm using my Scarlett today, so hopefully it sounds a little bit better. Please tell me if my audio is messed up. Please tell me when I'm screwing up. Do not, for those of you who don't know, I'm producing this show by myself. All of it, the background, all 9 streams, StreamYard, doing the research, everything. I do it all by myself. I have a $20 subscription to ChatGPT and a subscription to StreamYard, and that is 100% of my production. So for you guys supporting me, I'm not supported by any I have no sponsors. There's no a Daily Wire. There's no CNN. Nobody's supporting me. Nobody's helping me with this. Even my company, Men of Action, they're not, not to say they wouldn't. I mean, it's my company. I own it, but they're not even part of this. This is all me. I'm doing this by myself. I really appreciate if you guys help me out. Thank you, man. Appreciate that for the audio. I appreciate it. But yeah, give any support I could get from you guys, please. And one last thing, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and please turn on notifications whenever we go live.
Whether she thought she needed to stay away from them, she said no. According to him, Lindsay could describe these horrible thoughts and then go back to caring for the children normally. He had never seen her hurt them. And despite claims online that Patrick simply failed her, the evidence shows he was trying to get her help. He helped her seek treatment, push for more intensive care, and when Lindsay was scared to go to McLean Hospital, Patrick testified that he told her, "You have to go." So on January 1st, Lindsay voluntarily entered McLean, at the time ranked #1 in America for psychiatric care. Today, Lindsay's defense says she was suffering from psychosis, but the psychiatrist who treated Lindsay at McLean did not diagnose psychosis. She diagnosed severe major depressive disorder without psychotic features. She testified that Lindsay showed no signs of psychosis and denied having a plan to kill herself or harm anyone else.
So if you guys want to look up psychosis and understand how it works, inside, like if you are majorly depressed, there's tons of different disorders that you can have, but if you're majorly depressed without psychosis, then that means you understand right from wrong. Even though you may want to harm someone or harm yourself, you still understand right from wrong. When it comes to psychosis, you're not functioning in 3-dimensional, reality. You're somewhere else, seeing something else, hearing things that aren't there. And that is a legitimate, that's why McNaughton exists. It was 1843, I believe. It was a guy named McNaughton who was he was acquitted, or he was found not guilty. It was a British court. I don't remember all the details, but if you guys want to look it up, that's where this whole McNaughton defense comes from. But it was situation where, like, legitimately, I'm open to the idea that legitimately she didn't know what she was doing. I need to see more evidence, and I've watched testimony for both sides. By the way, we're going into testimony right after this, but I got to be honest with you, I am open to the idea, but right now, from what I've seen, even if she didn't know what she was doing, she needs to go to jail.
Lindsay was discharged from McLean on January 5th. But just one day later, her regular psychiatrist, Dr. Jennifer Tufts, noted that Lindsay appears to be deteriorating. She was still depressed and feeling numb. Tufts continued seeing her throughout the months while adjusting her medication. But despite Lindsay clearly still struggling, Tufts said she never saw signs of psychosis or mania. And importantly, Tufts did not know Lindsay had told Patrick about thoughts of harming the children, and later said that information would have concerned her greatly. Then on January...
Again, this is what I'm talking about before. Just because you see frequently, when you go see a therapist or a medical care provider, people show the therapist the best version of themselves. If you've ever had, a great example of this was the Jack Denmo case, where Jack Denmo's accuser in his SA case told the therapist something that blatantly wasn't true, told the therapist that she was manipulated by him, all this kind of stuff. And the text messages clearly showed that she showed up to Jack Denmo's house of her own volition, just blatantly lied to her therapist. This is a situation here where the thoughts of hurting herself were not availed to the therapist, so the therapist didn't know what to do here.
23rd, the day before the killings, Tufts spoke with Lindsay again. Lindsay said she felt numb and had no motivation, but denied suicidal or homicidal thoughts. The next day, all 3 children were dead. Patrick also testified that nobody treating Lindsay had ever told him not to leave the children alone with her. So what exactly happened here? Did one of America's top psychiatric hospitals and Lindsay's own psychiatrist somehow miss her psychosis? Did Lindsay only become psychotic after leaving McLean? Was she already experiencing psychotic symptoms but simply wasn't telling anyone? Or was she never psychotic at all? And the psychosis explanation came only after she killed her children. Because after the killings, Lindsay described something none of her doctors apparently knew about. She said she had been hearing a male voice. And what she says that voice told her is probably the most important piece of evidence in this case.
An astounding show of support today for...
Awesome, guys. Hey, guys, please.
An astounding show of...
Ilias, this is his IG right here. Please go check out his IG. Really, really good stuff. If you want to see, I feel like he does a lot of research and he's really, really balanced. So you guys make it. I've reached out to him before. I'd love to have him come on the show sometime. But yeah, make sure you guys go check him out. Let's go to another one here real quick. Okay, this is for those of you who don't understand where some of the ire came from. It came from this, and I'm gonna try to be fair here. I want everybody to listen to what these people have to say and understand. Like, I'm trying to be neutral. I'm trying to be neutral. Everybody just listen to this real quick, okay? Nope. Let's try this again.
And that message is that it should not take tragedy for people to start paying attention to mental health.
And I organized the Stand in Peace for Lindsay event today at the Plymouth Superior Courthouse. I originally organized it because there was just one day in court that Lindsay was in shambles and I couldn't stop thinking about her. We had hundreds of people here at the courthouse today, women and men dressed in pink in support of Lindsay and to raise awareness.
Man, can you imagine that you're that hard up for women that you're going to go wearing pink to try to get with some girl? Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to say that. Never mind.
For postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, and mental health crisis all over the world.
It was wonderful to see so many women come together to support such a wonderful cause. I think that the intention of gathering today was strictly to show our support. We wanted Lindsay, her legal team, and the public to know that regardless of what happened in that house in January of 2023, we understand that Lindsay asked for help and it was not given. And
okay, so this is, facts not in evidence, Your Honor. I don't know that no help was given, number one. Number two, I really need to know whether or not she shopped around to try to find different doctors to prescribe different things to her. And number three, if these women who are doing this, pink protest thing, if these women are saying, hey, she is not guilty by reason of insanity, but what this is still a tragedy, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't have a problem with the idea of talking about this being this is a tragedy. If this is a tragedy that could have been avoided by not prescribing her all those medication, then it would have been better to not prescribe those medication. And I do think tragedy is the correct definition for this. But if they're trying to say she's innocent, like vanilla flavored innocent, then we got a problem. Because now we're back to what I said before. What part of feminism holds women accountable for anything they do.
As women, we understand that that was a failure, and regardless, she deserved better.
I know she appreciates the outpouring of support from all these people. It's amazing.
We're here to send one.
Okay, so I wanted you guys to see that. I'm trying to be empathetic towards their position. This is not as dumb as let's not think of these as humans. Let's think of these as bosses. That was dumb. This is not quite as dumb. Now let's get into a little bit of testimony. I thought you guys would find this a little bit interesting. All right, let's do this real quick. Stand by.
I found the account of hallucinations to be, as she described it, it would be very, very unusual to experience it that way. Never having, not before, not since, constantly for 18 minutes. However, if this was a thought, an unwelcome, intrusive thought, but still a thought, that's basically, this is your last chance, you have to kill the kids so you can kill yourself, then that would be consistent with thoughts that she'd been experiencing for some time. She'd been having thoughts about harming herself, that she was, it was going to be very difficult for her to do this in a way that was that made sense. She was experiencing thoughts about hurting herself because her brain might have been damaged. She was experiencing thoughts about hurting the kids. She was experiencing all sorts of unwelcome thoughts. If that were the case on January 24th, if these were thoughts, then that would be consistent with what she'd been experiencing for months before. So that was something that made more sense to me, that rather than an auditory hallucination, it would have been an unwelcome, intrusive thought.
I don't know I don't know what the standard is here. An unwelcome, intrusive thought to me does not seem like grounds for premeditated murder. But I do think it, like, again, guys, if you are sitting in a yellow room and you're looking around, you're sitting on a couch, but in your mind, you're flying through the space in a spaceship, like true psychosis. You truly do not know where you are, what you're doing. I do believe you are not truly responsible for your actions. But if you kill a bunch of people, while you might not be responsible for your actions, you cannot be allowed to function in the general public because you're still a danger to other people. Okay, we can agree that both of those things are true. I don't think that from what I've seen here, that regardless of, even if you think she's not guilty, she should not be around kids. Can we all agree with that? Maybe, next thing I know, I can't wait. My favorite thing in the world. Like, I'm just going to enjoy so much. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to have a little popcorn. It's going to be Alex Cooper. It's going to be Joy Behar. I'm going to be watching her on Oprah. She's going to get out of jail. Say she's going to get out of psych ward. They have the people come up here. I'm just eating popcorn while Alex Cooper talks about how brave she is. You're so brave. Lindsay, you're so brave. I'm just going to be eating the popcorn, just enjoying watching Oprah Winfrey. It's like, you know what? We just really got to, you can't talk about postpartum. Who can't talk about postpartum, bro? Watch this. Ready? Everybody watch this. Postpartum. You can talk about it all you want. No one is stopping you from talking about postpartum depression. No one has impinged on your rights. I talk about hypergamy and I lose my channel. You talk about postpartum. No one is impinging on your rights to talk about whatever you want. None. If you have a problem with it, talk to the influencers on your side, the ones that keep talking trash about men, and then you can make them talk about postpartum depression. I know it's a real thing. I'm not saying that it's not. What I am saying is you're not a victim. Nobody said you can't talk about it. There's no social media platform that said, we were here to inform you that your account has been suspended for talking about postpartum depression. It's never happened. Show me the message. Show me the text. This is just making yourself out to, this is little Bo Peep. This nonsense. Bro. Just lying in the wood. You are the boy who cried wolf. That's essentially what you are. It's finally people can talk about mental health. That's all we're talking about. We don't talk about anything else but mental health. We don't talk about that's all we talk about. Whenever we talk about dating, it comes back to mental health. Male loneliness epidemic comes back to mental health. Whatever we talk about, it comes back to mental health. This idea, this specious, ridiculous idea that we can't talk about mental health or that we can't talk about postpartum depression. Please stop. Some of us can actually look at the internet and read and shit. We know you can talk about it. You know what you can't talk about? Well, I'm not going to say it, because if I talk about it, then we're going to be in deep shit. But there's certain things you legitimately can't talk about, okay? If you were going to say, hey, lab leak theory during COVID, is that something we can't talk about? That's correct. That was something you could not talk about. They would have taken your account. Postpartum, show me all the accounts that got taken down for postpartum. I would love to see that. Now, could we talk about it more? Yes. Is it important? Yes. If I have a woman, I get her pregnant, she has my child, is it something I'm going to be looking at? Postpartum depression? Yes. Is it something I'm going to educate myself in? Yes. All those things are true. But the idea that I can't talk about it, you're just lying. That no one is stopping you from talking about it as much as you want. And the influencers on the left have way more power than the influencers in the manosphere or whoever you want to say. We do not have the power you guys have. You want to know why? Because our accounts are taken down. Your accounts are never taken down. Wizard Liz talks about beating her baby's daddy, and her account is never taken down. There's a podcast right now called Kill All Men that is on Apple, and it's never taken down. No, if you want to talk about freedom of speech, we're not the ones with freedom of speech. I have to be careful of words that I use on YouTube because I'm going to get in trouble. You do not. No one's ever taken your TikTok away for talking about postpartum or mental health. Stop acting like a victim. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to watch you behave like this. All right, guys, let's keep going. All right, we did that one. Let's go to the next one. Real quick. So I literally just got this this message right now. I want you guys to see this. Tell me what you think. All right. So I just got this 10 seconds ago. I'm curious to see what this is. I have no reaction to this. I don't know what this is. Over 30,000 fans have now raised $1 million for Lindsay Clancy and her family. She's been charged. Okay, cool. Oh, look at this. 5,000 people, anonymous. Well, they're putting their name on here. Okay, cool. There's nothing else. I thought this was maybe like a story or something, but this is from Daily Loud. Musgrove Family Fund, $1,001,068 raised. Okay, got it. Cool. Hey, listen, you guys can put your money. It's free market capitalism. Put your money wherever you want. I'm not going to sit there and blame you for putting your money wherever you want if you think that's the case. But you got $1 million. I hope when she starts going back to file an appeal for inadequate defense. I can't wait for that one. All right, let's keep going. Next one is this one. Hey, let's go back to the other side here. The reason why I think this was interesting is because we go back to the Candace Owens thing. Let's talk. There's a lot of people who supported Candace, and then they heard what Candace was saying.
I know you stated.
Let me see here.
I know you stated you were on good standing with Candace, but she recently came out and said that Lindsay Clancy was innocent. She decided to blame Big Pharma and completely take the responsibility from the mother that killed her children. Just terrible stuff, man. Yeah, I don't agree with that. No, I don't agree with that. I think Lindsay Clancy is guilty. You can make the argument that she was on drugs or whatever. That's fine, but that does not absolve her of responsibility. I mean, like, do we sit here and blame the alcohol industry when someone drives drunk and kills somebody? No, we never do. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real here. If you get in a fucking car and drive drunk and hit a tree and kill somebody, right? Nobody's going to blame Hennessy, bruh. Okay? Nobody's going to blame the spirit and liquor industry. You're just going to go to jail. Okay? Big Pharma, alongside Big Pharma, obviously is evil. I've talked to you guys about this. I've told you guys that Big Pharma is on some bullshit.
Yeah, guys, saying that Big Pharma is overstepping by trying to prescribe things to people that don't need them. That is not a specious or ridiculous claim. It is not an unreasonable claim. The one that Tim Pool was making is not the one that Myron is making here. It's not an unreasonable claim. Oh, by the way, one other thing. I know I've shown Nick and Myron on here. If I get suspended for this account, I will know if I get this demonetized for this, I will know 100%. I will be able to prove with 100% accuracy what I've been trying to say before, which is content creators who are in favor of freedom of expression. We are the ones who are demonetized, deplatformed. We are the ones who are ratioed, not the other side. Again, I'm waiting to see Call Her Daddy be ratioed. I'm waiting to see that.
I told you guys that there's lots of, Big Pharma isn't really there to help you. It's there to be profitable, right? So you have your issues, but to blame it all on Big Pharma is insane. He's 100% a murderer and 100% guilty. I don't agree with blaming Big Pharma on that. Because like I said, if that's the case, then we just need to blame the liquor industry for alcohol. We need to blame Big Pharma when people go crazy off their meds. We need to blame, the problem is that you can start, it's a very slippery slope once you go down that road, blaming institutions who really don't give a fuck about anybody besides profit margins, right? So we got to put some onus on the individuals versus the industries. Because if you play that game, then you can blame every industry. I'm going to blame the gun industry because everyone uses guns to kill people. You see where I'm going with this, guys?
Nice. Okay, beautiful, man. I appreciate this. Let's go to the next one here, which is, so her chaplain testified. I thought this was also really interesting.
Day 17 just wrapped in the trial against the Massachusetts mother who admitted to killing her 3 children in January of 2023. Lindsay Clancy's attorneys called just one witness today before the judge then dismissed the jury until tomorrow. Live now to CBS News national correspondent Meg Oliver, who watched the proceedings today. What can you tell us that came out of that before they were dismissed?
Good to see you, Reed. Yeah, so outside the courthouse today, dozens of women showed up dressed in pink in support of Lindsay Clancy. They traveled from as far away as New York, Tennessee, Florida, and they're calling for better postpartum health care and mental health treatment for women. Now, inside court, as you mentioned, only one witness was called, Sheila Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh worked as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital for 7 years. She met with Clancy starting the day after she admitted to killing her children. Kavanaugh,
you want to speed it up just a little bit, guys?
Intubated as she was hospitalized after jumping out a window at her Duxbury home. Kavanaugh said Clancy's emotional state was neutral. She said the first thing Clancy said was, "I am so glad my children are safe." Let's take a listen.
She continued to look like the photograph you just saw. She was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. But I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday, the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, "I am so glad my children are safe."
See, the thing for me is like, is she still in the psychotic? Is she still in psychosis when she says, "I'm so glad that my children are safe"? Is that still psychosis? Because the thing is, if it's not psychosis and she's fully aware of what she did, I'm gonna say this again. Did this woman get too many drugs? Probably. Did this woman have a psychotic break? Maybe. I think all of those things are accurate, and I think they're germane, and she still needs to go to jail.
Applied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, "Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God." And I held her hand throughout that conversation, and we prayed for them. She alluded to having heard a voice, and the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
On cross-examination, the prosecution pointed out that Kavanaugh took detailed notes of her conversations with Clancy, and in those notes, it never once said that Clancy heard a voice in her head. Her testimony lasted about 20 minutes. The judge has rested for the day. We're expecting a much longer day tomorrow. Both the defense and prosecution are expected to call doctors as witnesses, and the judge pointed out, Reed, that we could see closing arguments as soon as Monday or Tuesday.
Wow. Okay. All right. This is a while ago, so they've already gone through. No, I think closing arguments might be Thursday. I'm not sure what the update on the trial is today. All right, here we go, guys. We're going to go back to this one time because I want to go because let's do one more thing on the testimony. I want you to see this. Let me see here.
Just like adults, children have a will to survive. Strong will to survive. The children are not puppets. Ask Miss Clancy to tell me about that afternoon. She told me that she texted her husband, Patrick, basically to say, what would you think about having takeout? Made the arrangements to look up the distance between her home and 3D restaurant, making plans to have the food ordered. Instead of starting with asking her husband, what would you think about takeout? The record shows that Ms. Clancy did a lot of searching prior to that, presenting not just the idea of takeout, but she had already done lots of checking about distance and the like. Ms. Clancy told me that after the phone call with her husband, that was when she took Dawson down the steps into her husband's office to strangle him. I asked Ms. Clancy what she remembered about what she said to Dawson to get him to go down the steps. Was there resistance, verbalization, et cetera, crying? And she said she could not recall that. She could only recall bringing him down the steps and then strangling him. The next child was Cora, that she went back upstairs and did not recall how she got Cora down the steps, but then brought her into a different area and strangled Cora. And then lastly, that she went up to get Callan. Then bringing Callan down, he was the last child to be strangled. All during this time where this voice is over and over again saying, this is your last chance. You have to kill the children before you kill yourself. Just like adults, children have a will to survive, strong will to survive. I think it's just part of being human. Dr. Resnick described Ms. Clancy as acting as if she were a puppet, but the children are not puppets. Ms. Clancy stated to me that her hallucination occurred when she was standing at the refrigerator, when she received a call from Patrick Clancy, returned the call, and then as soon as she finished the call, she said that is when she heard the voice. This is your last chance. You have to kill your kids and then kill yourself. To Dr. Spinelli, she said that the voice happened as soon as Patrick Clancy left on his errands, and that the voice that it was her children would suffer if she did not do that.
Is it typical for someone in psychosis to hear a voice only one time, never before, never after?
No.
Is it typical for someone in psychosis to hear a voice that's constant rather than intermittent?
That would be pretty rare.
So the point that they're trying to make is, well, she didn't hear this voice before or since. Man, that's hard to listen to, especially the other part. She strangles two of her kids, and one of her kids tries to run away, and she has the wherewithal to chase the kid down and then to strangle him. Like, bro, I'm gonna say this again. I know people who are not psychotic who are not that productive. They can't accomplish things like this, and they're not psychotic. She did it while she was. That's wild. Like I said, 60-40, 65-35. That's about where I'm at right there. Man, that was rough. All right. Let's listen to this again. I brought up Elias before. Elias does a really great breakdown of the evidence. So I wanted you guys to see this. Let's watch this real quick. Let's go here and bang, stand by.
What did the voice say?
The voice said to the effect of, you should kill the kids. This is your last chance so that you can kill yourself.
And what did she say happened after she heard this voice?
She engaged in the activity of taking her children's lives.
After Lindsay Clancy killed all three of her children, she described something none of the doctors treating her beforehand had heard. She said a male voice told her she had no choice. She had to kill the children and then kill herself. So was this the missing evidence that she had really been psychotic, or was it an explanation that appeared only after the killings? One of the first forensic experts to evaluate Lindsay after the children were killed was psychologist Dr. Paul Zeisel, brought in by her defense. Zeisel said Lindsay told Patrick during a phone call he witnessed that she had heard a male voice ordering her to kill the children and herself. He also tested whether Lindsay was faking or exaggerating symptoms and said he found no evidence that she was. Zeisel ultimately concluded that she was not criminally responsible. Then there was Dr. Philip Resnick, a forensic psychiatrist and expert on parents who killed their children. He evaluated Lindsay about 4 months later and testified that she had been clearly psychotic. Resnick said Lindsay described feeling as if an outside force had taken control of her body, almost like she was a puppet and someone else was pulling the strings. According to him, Lindsay believed that if she killed herself, her children would suffer without her. In her delusional state, she believed they needed to die with her and go to heaven. But there's an obvious problem. None of the doctors treating Lindsay before the killings documented this male voice. Her psychiatrist didn't know about it, McLean didn't know about it, and Patrick didn't hear about it beforehand either. He testified that Lindsay first told him about the voice a week after the children's death. So if this voice was powerful enough to make her kill 3 children, why wasn't she telling anyone beforehand? The defense says psychotic patients can hide symptoms, especially if they're afraid their children could be taken away. The defense also calls this postpartum psychosis. But postpartum psychosis usually begins within days or weeks after childbirth, and Callan was already 8 months old, so the timing is unusual. The defense argues that her bipolar illness began postpartum and eventually developed into psychosis. But then we have the prosecution's expert. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Avram Mack evaluated Lindsay in April 2026 and reached almost the opposite conclusion. He agreed she was suffering from severe major depression, but said he found no evidence that she had been psychotic or manic and believed she could still understand right from wrong and control her actions. So we are looking at experts examining the same woman and reaching opposite conclusions. But these experts were not randomly assigned. Zeisel and Resnick were brought in by the defense before they evaluated Lindsay. Mack was brought in by the prosecution before he evaluated her. That doesn't mean any of them are lying, but they knew which side had hired them. And each side naturally presents experts whose conclusions support its case, which is why I think the doctors who actually treated Lindsay before the killings are especially important. They were treating her before there was a murder case and non-diagnosed psychosis. At the same time, that doesn't prove she wasn't psychotic. People can conceal psychotic symptoms and still perform normal, organized tasks while experiencing delusions. So this is ultimately what the jury has to decide. Was Lindsay severely depressed but still understood what she was doing, or was she genuinely psychotic, hearing a male voice, believing an outside force was controlling her like a puppet, and thinking killing her children was somehow protecting them? One leads to murder, the other could mean she's found not criminally responsible. And this is where the case gets even messier outside the courtroom, because a lot of people online have already picked a side, and some are even blaming Patrick.
And what did the voice say?
The voice said to the effect.
Oh, we'll get to that in just a second. The blaming Patrick, this is what I mean by like inability to take accountability, right? Here we go. This is we're getting into a little bit more of the crazy stuff. Check this out. Tell me what you guys think about this.
My new
this has been going super viral recently.
My new vetting process for if I want to date a man. First date question I'm always going to be asking him is, do you think that Lindsay Clancy should go to jail for what she did? And if that man says yes, I'm getting up and walking out right then and there. I cannot spend the rest of my life with someone who thinks that that woman is guilty and deserves jail. My new vetting.
There you go. So that's her new vetting process. If you say that she should go to jail, she's just going to get up and walk out. That's what an incredible way for like choosing your partner. What an incredible. It's just so crazy. I don't want to date you because I don't agree with your opinion on a legal story that I don't know all the facts for. What she's also saying is that she knows better than you. She knows for a fact that Lindsay Clancy was psychotic. You guys see that? It's like, there's so many things she's explaining to you. She's explaining that she knows more than you, that she understands the case better than you, and then she can't go out with you because when there's a presumption of guilt or innocence, the fact that you hold her accountable, then you might hold this blonde woman accountable as well. And she's not going to have that. She's too pretty. She's been treated too well. She is not going to have you hold her accountable in case she does something because she felt like doing it. Got it. I understand. Understood. Warning accepted. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being honest with us about this. And ready? Let's go. You guys will understand. If I'm curious if you guys agree with me on this. If this had just been a situation where a group of people had said, hey, this was a travesty, this is a tragedy that's happened, and we want to make sure that this tragedy never happens again. So we want to put new things in place to make sure people are aware of postpartum depression and the overprescription of medication. If someone had said that this is a tragedy and that's what we want to talk about, I would have had no problem with it. I don't think Rich Cooper, Rollo Tomasi, I don't think Matt Walsh, I don't think any of us would have had a really big problem with that. It's when it's when we get into, I'm proud of you, Lindsay. I'm holding my baby. I'm so proud of you, Lindsay. I'm proud of what you did. You're proud? The fuck? I'm proud of you, Lindsay. These people don't understand. Someone thinks you're guilty. I don't ever want to talk to them again. Well, why don't we have a discussion about whether or not she's guilty? No. You think that there's any possibility she could go to jail? Out of my life. What? What is happening right now? What is going on, bro? This is nuts. All right, here we go. You guys ready? This is the clippable moment right now. We're about to go 1, 2, 3, clip it. Oh, we screwed that one up, didn't we? Let me do this one more time because I want to get it from the beginning because this one is too good. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go.
I'm Dr. Sterling. I don't even know if you're allowed to watch videos like this.
By the way, this is what we call a parasocial relationship. Hey, Lindsay, the woman, Lindsay doesn't know you. This is crazy. She's making a video directly to Lindsay. You guys need to look up parasocial relationship. If you want to see a great example of this, it's all the people who attacked me, all these other content creators who correctly diagnosed why Klay Thompson left Megan Thee Stallion. They came after us. They started talking about Megan Thee Stallion this and Klay Thompson is chopped or whatever. And they actually thought that they were standing up for Megan Thee Stallion when Megan Thee Stallion doesn't care about them. These women who are like making these videos talking about how Drake has made it so that men have to step up. Drake is not listening to you. You have what's called a parasocial relationship.
Someone can show it to you. I don't know. But I want you to know that I believe you. From my perspective as an OBGYN, I believe that you were over-functioning throughout your entire postpartum period. I am blown away by how hard you were working to get better, while also working as a mom. I've got 3 kids. I know how much work it is, even when you are mentally well. It's so hard to take care of 3 kids. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20, but I don't know what else you could have done. You were far.
Oh, I know one thing she could have done. Write in the chat if you know there's one other thing that Lindsay Clancy could have done. Write in the chat. No, we're not going any further. I want you to write in the chat. What is something else that Lindsay Clancy could have done besides what she did? Write it in the chat. Rolo, write it in the chat. Got all you guys in there, right? What is something that Lindsay Clancy could have done other than what she did? She goes, I don't know what you could have done. I know one thing you could have done. What is something else you could have done? No, breathe. There we go. Cam's got it right. Cam's got it right. Who else? What is another thing what is one thing she could have done? Oh, you go. There we go. Rolo got it right. What is? You guys got it? Here's one thing she could have done. She could have not killed her children. That's one thing she could have done. She could have done that instead.
Far beyond what should be expected of a single individual. You have galvanized us women in a really powerful way. And I'm not quite ready to tell my story yet, but when I eventually do,
I'm ready to hear it, honey. You just let me know when you're ready to tell your story, because we all like a little bit of make-believe.
It's going to be because you came first and you showed all of us that we can be honest and we can be real about what we experience as mothers.
By the way, does anyone remember that Lindsay Clancy giving some sort of like testimony or interview talking about how brave she was and all the things that she went through? Lindsay Clancy has done none of this. This woman has literally used her as a political football when Lindsay Clancy hasn't said anything. She is not going to testify in her defense. Her defense is not that stupid. She's not going to testify. She goes, thank you for speaking up first. Hold on, ready? This woman, this is what I mean by parasocial relationship. She's telling Lindsay Clancy, thank you for speaking up first. When did Lindsay Clancy speak up? Her defense has said a lot, no doubt. When has Lindsay Clancy, what was the TikTok post Lindsay Clancy did? Where was the Facebook post? These people are literally imagining relationships and conversations with people that aren't happening. Do you want to know what that sounds like to me? That sounds to me like this woman in the glasses is actually the one who's suffering from psychosis. Lindsay doesn't know you. She doesn't hear this. She didn't speak up. This is all in your head. This is madness.
So thank you. And, I hope that you're seeing our support because we believe you and we are proud of how hard you advocated and how hard you tried for yourself.
You're proud? What in the world is going on? To say, hey, this was a tragedy. This sucks that this happened. It's like saying, bro, oh my God, bro. Just so wild. It's like you're walking around and you accidentally drop your kid and then your kid like gets hurt, breaks an arm or whatever. And I just say, I want to say how proud I am for you for dropping your kid. It may have been an accident. I'm not saying I'm blaming you, but I'm not proud of you. That is wild.
And we know you miss those babies every day. Hi, Lindsay.
Guys, real quick, this is Noah Sterling, Dr. Noah Sterling. I thought, as many did, because of those crazy glasses she had on, I thought that this woman was trolling. Either it was AI or this woman was trolling. No, I went and did fact check. This is a real OBGYN. This is terrifying. This is terrifying. Wow, man, that one, I'm so proud of you for speaking up. She didn't speak up. She didn't say anything. All right, guys. This is another one. Some relationships have been falling apart because of this.
Suffer
This is so funny.
in fucking silence. No, you don't, because you're not a fucking woman.
I'm not.
So, like, I'm saying that, like, you as a society is saying that every woman, because we all fucking survive in silence, that we should all fucking do it
but I'm saying
without
this is
support.
portraying a bad message for women.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, fuck you. Don't tell us what it is and isn't doing.
I won't. I won't.
No, it's fucking insane, because here's the thing. Women can do everything. We can work full time, we can take care of our kids, we can manage every fucking schedule, but like, we will always fall short. Oh, you're a stay-at-home mom, why don't you fulfill yourself by getting a college degree, doing this, doing that? Oh, you work, you have someone else raising your baby.
Really quick, 58% of bachelor's degrees are now held by women, and 62% of master's degrees are now also held by women, and 52% of doctoral degrees are held by women.
Fine if you want to stand on that hill, but using this case to do it, I don't think is smart.
I'm saying, okay, you can, so here's
I think a woman killing her 3 kids is not the hill to die on of this is what women need and this is the healthcare they need.
No. What I'm saying is that, yes, we do. So that
I'm not saying you're wrong. Maybe
what I'm
they
saying
do.
is that, like, what I'm saying that is that women are surviving because at our core, at our absolute core, we want to take care of our children. Let me finish. Don't.
Trying to say that she is not criminally liable, which is a defense of insanity. A defense lawyer would never do that unless it was 100% certain that she did kill her kids.
Here's the thing. I don't.
And how many mothers are there in the U.S. or in the world, and how many of them do that? It takes
do you know how many mothers? Do you know how many mothers suffer from postpartum depression?
And how many of them kill their 3 kids?
That's an extremity. Like, you cannot. No. I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, because I think they need a little bit of credit. Let's go ahead and shout out to these people in the chat. Shout out to all the mothers who have postpartum depression and don't kill their kids. Can we give them a shout out in the chat? Give them a shout out. Shout out to the mothers who have postpartum depression and don't kill their kids. Let's give them, just write shout out. Shout out to the mothers who have postpartum depression and don't strangle their 3 kids. These women don't get enough credit. We need to do more to recognize these women. You suffered from postpartum depression and you didn't kill your kids? Go ahead. Go ahead, girl. That's what I'm saying. We need to throw a party for these women who go. We need to throw a pizza party for these women who actually they have postpartum depression and they do not kill their kids. Shout out to you. I want you to know that nobody was thinking about you before. I'm thinking about you now. Thank you. I want to say thank you for your service. So I joined the military. I get thank you for your service. Ladies, if you went through postpartum depression, you did not kill your kids. Thank you for your service. Thank you so much. I just want to let you know. Thank you.
What I'm saying is you cannot say that the system didn't fail her.
I believe the system failed her and she needs to go to jail. I don't understand. The system failed a lot of people. I bet. I mean, if you look at like serial killers, like a lot of them went through like foster care and it was terrible, but you still got to go to jail. That's how it works. Because people who went through horrible stuff still didn't commit crimes. It would be one of these things where if everyone who was prescribed a certain medication always had psychosis, or even 50% of them, I might be able to see what you're saying. But this woman, it's so electrically charged for her. It means so much. Why? Why does it mean so much? Because I'll tell you why. There's nothing in the world that seems to trigger women more than being held accountable. That is crazy to me. The more I watch these, again, this may be my algorithm just trying to trick me. Okay, ready? Last one. I actually had plans for a bunch of other videos to go through, but we ended up doing the whole Lindsay Clancy thing. And I don't really want to keep going through this. We'll discuss this maybe after the sentencing comes out. Sentencing or the verdict comes out. We'll discuss it again. But for the most part, I just wanted to go over this because I just saw so many crazy viewpoints when it came to this. And yeah, wanted to share mine. Here we go, guys. All right. If you want to know, like when we get into utter and complete madness, I want you guys to see what utter and complete madness looks like. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Does anybody think it's weird that Patrick Clancy's new wife? No, not that they already had a baby together. No. Does anybody think it's weird that Patrick Clancy's new wife became his new wife in April of this year, knowing that there was going to be a trial later on in the year? And knowing that wives can't testify against their husbands in a court of law?
No, I don't. I don't think that means anything. I think they got married in part because of the fact that they already had a child together.
I want to make one correction. I believe wives obviously can testify against their own husbands. I don't believe they can be forced to. There's
They don't have to testify against their husbands. They can testify.
some nuance there. I'm not a legal specialist, or I have no legal expertise, let's be honest. So let me just move on to the next example, because this is, see where I'm going with this? You see the pattern of weird behavior between the two, but that's not it. There is a literal connection between Erica Kirk and Patrick Clancy. Now watch this.
Hold on. Yo, what did she just say? Guys, I didn't watch this one. Did this woman just say that there's a connection between Erica Kirk and Patrick Clancy? Bro, what is your life like? I'm not even mad at you. What is your life like that you can't even live near objective reality? Erica Kirk and Patrick Clancy? Yo, what is going on, guys? How?
Careful when you look up information about Lindsay Clancy, because I thought that these pictures were both of pictures of Lindsay. If you're like, well, that looks like Patrick and Lindsay, that's Patrick, but that's not Lindsay. No, he didn't marry Lindsay's twin. This woman just looks like Lindsay's twin. This being Patrick Clancy's new wife that he married April of 2026. The same woman he ultimately ended up moving in with after moving from Massachusetts after his family was killed to New York City 4 months after the incident.
One more time. Because she's not clearly not capable of empathy. Let me see if you guys are. Your wife has had a psychotic break, and in part, you are her caretaker as much as you're the children's caretaker. Your wife then kills your 3 kids and then jumps out of the window, and she is now paraplegic. She's in jail now. So what you should do 4 months later is continue to live in the same house and sleep in the same bed, the same house where your children were murdered. And if you don't do that, it's clearly because you're guilty. There's no reasonable reason. There's no reason why Patrick Clancy, after this woman murdered his 3 children, should then want to go marry someone else. Clearly, this implies that he's guilty. This is what I'm talking about. It is so crazy that not only has the defense for Lindsay Clancy stated that she actually did strangle the children, these women don't even believe Lindsay Clancy. They have to make it the man's fault. Do you guys understand? I'm going to ask you guys one more time. Do you remember the question I asked you at the beginning of the show? What tenet of feminism holds women accountable for anything? In this case, we're now holding a man accountable for something he didn't do. And by the way, we'll go over this. I'm going to show you one more Elias video because Elias breaks down exactly why this man did not kill his kids. But it's just, do you understand? It's like, it's such an incredible, and by the way, this is not all women. I'm going to say this again. I served with some amazing pilots in the United States Air Force that were women that were very accountable people. It's not all women. It's this subset of women that are just feeding off of each other on TikTok and just like feeding each other this mush that's causing people to not be accountable. Do you understand? When you're not accountable, your life's not better. Your life's not better when you're spoiled because you can't take feedback and you can never improve. You're actually cursed when you can't take feedback. You're actually cursed when you can't take accountability for your own life. It's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. You might feel privileged in the beginning, but it's a terrible place to live.
Again, this being Lindsay Clancy and this being his new wife. Not only are both of these women in the medical field, Lindsay Clancy we know was a labor and delivery nurse, Dr. Rachel Dennis, a fertility specialist. So both of these women specialize in women having children. Not only do these women look like the same person, Lindsay's replacement, Rachel, is also an athlete the same as Lindsay. She runs marathons she now runs with Patrick. Similar hobbies, nearly identical career.
Right, they run marathons together. It must not be love. This must be, yes, it's, where's Candace? It's Israel. I'm sorry. I had to do it. I'm sorry. Somehow, so do you guys understand? Does everyone understand? These children were killed by an exploding microphone. Does everyone understand? Case closed. The children were killed. The children were killed by an exploding microphone that came from France. I just want to make sure you guys all understand that that's what happened here. Okay?
Paths and nearly identical physical features. No wonder there is so much wild speculation that Patrick was having an affair with his now wife while still with Lindsay and his kids.
This would be so easy to prove. This would be so easy to prove if they had, or so easy to defend if they had no correspondence with each other whatsoever while they were married. Okay. Madness, guys. Do you understand? The problem is this. There's no evidence to support this theory. None. It's just conjecture. And if you guys have noticed, my last two girlfriends have both noted that they look like twin sisters. That is not a function of guilt because this has happened, okay? I've told you before, I like Megan Fox with the boob job. That's my type. If you look at my exes or like the last, several women I've dated, you'll notice that's a pretty consistent type for me. That doesn't mean anyone's guilty, and I certainly wasn't dating one while I was dating the other, okay? Nothing like that. Cheat on your wife. Oh, my God. Dude, so Drunken Harry goes, cheat on your wife. She kills your kids. That's not funny, dude. Stop saying shit like that. That makes us look like we don't have any empathy for the situation. All right, I got a couple more here. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, like I said, I have nothing but a $20 subscription to ChatGPT and a subscription to StreamYard, and I do all of this by myself. I want to tell you guys something. I use Hermes Agent with ChatGPT. Hermes Agent is free. I use it with ChatGPT 5.6 Soul, and it came up with all of these videos that I'm showing you today. And then I woke up this morning about 3 hours before the show, and then I put them in the order I wanted, and I didn't watch the entire videos. This is a really, really great technology. I highly recommend you guys try Hermes. They don't pay me for anything. I think Hermes is the most powerful AI agent I've ever seen in my life because it rewrites its own code in order to get you what you need, okay? Also to make thumbnails. I've been getting a lot of people complimenting my thumbnails for my YouTube videos recently. That is ChatGPT 5.6 Soul using what's called ChatGPT Image 2 in order to create those. And I have a folder with like 200 perfect thumbnails that I really like, and it trains off the perfect thumbnails and then develops the new thumbnails that we have now. I hope if you guys like the thumbnails, let me know because I'm trying to make new ones that look pretty cool. Let's go to another one before we. And that made me very dumb. That made me feel very dumb watching that. Let's try another one here.
Somebody.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Let's see how much smarter we get here with this one. 3. Oh, what are we doing here? 3. What is happening? There we go. 3, 2, 1. Intelligence.
Somebody crushed Lindsay's thyroid. A knife is not going to crush her thyroid. There were 3 exercise bands and a brown belt that was retrieved during investigation.
Oh, you know what could crush your thyroid? What is that thing? What is that thing you could crush your thyroid? Yeah, jumping off a 2nd-story building. How about that? Why don't you bring that one up?
Brown belt? The belt was used to strangle Lindsay at first.
How embarrassing, girl. Are you basing your whole theory that Patrick committed the crimes based on something that was this easy to debunk? I didn't even have to dig through the medical filings like I would on a more complex case. This was so easy to find. Medical experts at her trial, Lindsay Clancy's trial, clarified how her neck injuries occurred. Blunt force impact. Expert testimony showed that when she jumped head first out the window from the 2nd-story window and struck the frozen ground.
Hey guys, so this is one part. I'm gonna say this, okay? I'm gonna get a lot of pushback for this, but if she's bullshitting and she's faking, do you know how hard it would be to jump head first off a 2nd-story building? That's why I'm saying, like, I'm not excusing what she's saying, and most like I do think she should go to jail, but like, if the point that you're trying to make to me is that she was crazy, do you have any idea how hard it would be consciously to jump out head first and land on your head from the 2nd floor? Like, that would be, she didn't try to protect herself. That is wild. And then, like, you want to talk about like selling, with the Daniel Day-Lewis, when he was playing Abraham Lincoln, he would walk around all day and people would have to call him Abraham Lincoln. That's like really, really like committing to your craft. This woman, if she's lying, she is very committed to her craft. Very committed. I'm not saying she's not guilty. I'm not saying she should go to jail. I'm saying if I'm trying to fake some shit, I'm not jumping out of nothing head first. I might jump out feet first. I'm like, oh my God, I tried to kill myself. I broke my ankle. You might see me jump out feet first. Oh, I twisted my ankle jumping out of the second-story building. Do not convict me. I'm innocent. I heard voices. I might do that. I'm not jumping out head first, though. This is definitely 1 point in Lindsay Clancy's spot here. That is crazy, bro. She is committed to her craft. That's all I'm saying. She's committed to her craft.
The extreme flex, like her neck flexed, extreme, like severe bending of her neck and the pressure of her shoulders hitting the ground crushed her voice box cartilages and damaged her thyroid gland. I'm curious, which is it? Do you guys think that these women just do zero research, or do they know dang well what they're doing? They know, they've seen the evidence, and they choose to spin these wild tales because they know it gets them more clicks and views? Let me know.
Yeah, no, it is a combination of both. They definitely don't do research. So this type of specious nonsense is well, I shouldn't even call it specious. For those of you who don't know what the word means, specious means something that looks like it could be true, but it isn't true. This doesn't even look like it could be true. Because I debate a lot of moon landing deniers. Yes, we did land on the moon. Yes, I will debate any of you. I will humiliate any of you on YouTube. Come for your humiliation ritual. Listen, people pay me for coaching, but I will humiliate you in a moon landing denial debate for free. Okay. Any of you who think we didn't land on the moon, I will gladly humiliate you. So moon landing denial, whenever I debate flat earthers or anti-evolutionists, whenever I debate them, it's very similar. They don't look up the other side. They say things like, I debated an anti-evolutionist last Wednesday, and he said something like, scientists are telling everyone that we came from monkeys. No scientist is saying we came from monkeys. There's probably a lot of you right now who are watching this who don't believe in evolution, who actually think that scientists said we came from monkeys, and they did not. Scientists said that monkeys and humans had a common ancestor 6 million years ago. They did not say we came from monkeys. And so this dude is like deliberately lying. I called him out for it, and I was like, I asked him the same question that this woman asked. I was like, are you lying to your audience, or did you just really not do the research? He goes, well, you know what I meant. I was like, no, I heard you said that we came from modern monkeys, and we didn't. And no one said we did. All right, let's keep going. One last thing I want to show. Yes. Last one. And then we're going to get out of here. Because again, he does the best part of explaining this. We're going to do one last video with Elias, and then we're getting out of here. I was going to do some other videos. I have one from Lisa Bilyeu that I really want to show. We're going to do that probably on Friday. We're going to do that on Friday. So if you guys want to come check that out, you can. One other thing, let you guys know a few things. Number one, I would love it very much if you guys would go to tylopez.com/Michael and come see one of my mentors. You guys, the person I quote the most in the world, Dr. David Buss is going to be speaking in Los Angeles with Ty Lopez and Joel Salatin. I'm going to be speaking as well. And I would really love it if you guys came and joined us. It's tylopez.com/Michael is the link, and you guys can buy tickets to see myself, Joel Salatin, Ty Lopez. There's going to be several other speakers and Dr. David Buss. The other thing is, for those of you who are in Las Vegas on the 29th, we're going to be having a Swimsuit USA preliminary. You guys can come check it out at 8 Lounge. And then one other thing, I'm a certain show that I criticized Mark Manson on reached out to me, and I auditioned for that certain show, and I'll be able to let you guys know next week if I shall be appearing on said show. But I don't want to say anything right now to jinx it. Here we go, guys. Let's do one last video, and then we're out of here. I do appreciate you guys sticking with me. Man, what makes me happy is when we get to like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and there's more people watching. That makes me feel really good. I really appreciate that, guys. Let's try this.
Women deserve support, and Lindsay didn't receive the support that she deserved.
We love you, Lindsay, and we're here for you. We're here to show support and love for her.
Hundreds of people, overwhelmingly women, recently showed up outside the courthouse dressed in pink to support Lindsay Clancy. This is a woman who killed all 3 of her children. And online, some people have gone even further. They're not just defending Lindsay, they're blaming her husband, Patrick. Some even claim that Patrick actually killed the children and framed his mentally ill wife. So how did we get here? First, I think we need to separate a few different things. Supporting Lindsay does not necessarily mean denying what she did. A lot of her supporters believe she was genuinely psychotic, that the mental health system failed her, and that she should therefore be found not criminally responsible. And as we discussed in the previous parts, that isn't some completely ridiculous position. Lindsay was clearly very mentally ill, repeatedly sought treatment, and multiple defense experts believe she was psychotic.
So again, one of the reasons why I love watching Elias is because he's going to break it down, and it is reasonable to believe that she's mentally ill. That is absolutely reasonable. And he really tries to do a lot of the research to keep things based. In fact, a lot of times when I don't want to do the research, he's one of the first guys that I'll go to and watch, and then I'll go fact check some of his research. Really easy to do. By the way, guys, if you want to use Grok Claude now can look at video. Super Grok can also look at video, and it can fact check every single thing from a video very quickly. There's a couple other AI models that can do this. I highly recommend you guys check that out.
Many of the women outside the courthouse also said this case reminded them of their own experiences with postpartum depression, anxiety, or struggling to get mental health care. So I can sort of understand where some of the sympathy for Lindsay comes from, but that sympathy should make us forget that she killed all 3 of her children. And having sympathy for Lindsay is one thing, but turning Patrick into the villain is another. Now, to be fair, you can at least ask questions about some of Patrick's decisions. Patrick knew Lindsay had been suicidal. He also knew that she had told him about intrusive thoughts involving harm to the children. And yet, she was still sometimes left alone with them. So you can absolutely ask whether Patrick should have been more cautious, but the idea that he simply abandoned his mentally ill wife doesn't really match the evidence. Patrick took 12 weeks of paternity leave after Callan was born. He later worked from home. He helped Lindsay seek psychiatric treatment, push for more intensive care, involved their families, and when Lindsay was scared to go to McLean, he told her, "You have to go." And perhaps most importantly, no professional treating Lindsay ever told Patrick that she should not be left alone with the children. Remember, one of America's top psychiatric hospitals discharged her. Her own psychiatrist continued treating her. If they didn't believe she was an immediate danger to her children, how exactly was Patrick supposed to know that she would kill them? You can still argue he should have done more, but that is very different from what is happening online. There are now people claiming Patrick drugged Lindsay, that he actually killed the children himself, or that he somehow set everything up so his mentally ill wife would take the blame. There is no evidence for that. Lindsay herself acknowledges that she killed the children. Her own defense isn't arguing that Patrick did it. So why has Patrick become the villain for so many women? I think at least part of it is projection. A lot of women discussing this case describe their own experiences of being overwhelmed after childbirth, not being taken seriously by doctors, or having husbands who didn't support them enough. And Patrick becomes a stand-in for all of that frustration. But somebody else's experiences is not evidence that Patrick Clancy killed his children. You can't believe Lindsay was psychotic. You can't believe her doctors failed her. You can even believe Patrick made mistakes and should have done more. But none of those things prove that Patrick killed his children or caused Lindsay to kill them. Those are—
Yes, thank you. You can believe a lot of these things, but it doesn't lead to the next place. And the problem is, I've said this before, we say believe all women. Lindsay Clancy's defense team is saying she actually committed the murders, and women are still blaming her husband. So we believe all women unless there's a man to blame.
These are completely different claims. And while social media seems to have already picked its villains and victims, the actual jury still has to decide the questions that matters legally, whether Lindsay Clancy was criminally responsible.
I believe that women deserve support.
Shout out, man. Thank you guys for checking us out. Anyway, I just wanted to point all this stuff out. One of the issues that may come up in the future is the fact that there really isn't a record of her talking about this voice that caused her to commit these murders beforehand. But at the same time, you want to sell your craft, you jump out of a window head first. That is wild. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I didn't hear that. That is a big deal to me. All right, last few super chats, then we're gonna get out of here, man. I really appreciate your support, gentlemen. Mike Clancy raised $1 million US. A mom who got burned for saving her kids by going back inside got 40,000. No way, unbelievable. Yep, that's wild, man. That is a very different thing there. I worked in the leave department of a good-sized hospital. The number of doctors, medical professionals who went to rehab legitimately surprised me. Yes. So there's another thing I was going to talk about was the number of medical professionals who get addicted to prescription medication. That's why I'm saying I would leave the door open for the idea that the reason she was prescribed so many different types of medication is because when she didn't get what she was looking for from Dr. 1, she just went to Dr. 2. I think that's what this kind of situation. You see this sometimes with a guy will go to a TRT clinic and the TRT clinic will be like, well, your TRT is 600, so we're not going to go to give you TRT. So he goes to another guy. Eventually he finds some dude who deals steroids at his gym who gives him TRT. It's one of these situations where I don't know. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying this is a possibility here, something that you might want to look at. Next one here is men get heavy prison sentence for acts derived from testosterone, yet women face much lighter sentences for acts derived from emotions and estrogen. What are your thoughts on judicial penalties based on gender and hormones? I will go over this specifically, but I don't want to misquote anyone because there are specific numbers on this, and they're not statistically insignificant, meaning like women don't get 5% less sentencing. They aren't sentenced to 5% fewer years than men are for the same crimes. It's significantly less. And so we'll go over that in another video. I'm actually going to use that in a debate that I have coming up here pretty soon. Next one is men don't line the streets in support of school shooters that were on psych meds. Yeah, I was going to say something that's going to get me in trouble, but I'm not going to say it. For psychosis, the auditory speech processing area of the brains becomes so active, it seems like an external voice. Intrusive thoughts don't. So that was another point that I was trying to make. Thank you for making that point, because that's exactly what I was trying to say, which is intrusive thoughts does not equal a burden that I would think to give her to say. Let me see if I'm trying to say this again. Her having intrusive thoughts to me is not enough to say that, hey, you killed your kids because you had intrusive thoughts. If you killed your kids because you did not know where you were and what you were doing, that's a very different thing. Okay. Awesome. I can't wait to see all the little warning labels and all the little things underneath this episode that YouTube puts on there, because I was just reacting to a bunch of videos. Hey, thank you guys for checking me out. One last thing I would like to ask you, please make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, and do me a huge favor. If you could subscribe to me on Kick and Rumble, it's just Michael Sartain on Kick and Rumble. I'd really appreciate that. I'm trying to grow my Kick. I'm trying to grow my Rumble. Eventually on Kick, I am going to start doing some IRL streams. So I'd love it if you guys would go check me out there. And also, we don't know, man. Like I've said this a million times. If Gavin Newsom gets elected, people like us are not going to be able to broadcast on YouTube anymore. I'm not trying to exaggerate. If Gavin Newsom gets elected president, there's a great chance that content like this, you already see, I would not be able to get away with making content like this if I lived in the UK or Canada. Right now, I wouldn't be able to. I don't even know how Rich Cooper probably lives in a bunker somewhere so they don't come after him. I don't know how I would get away with making content like this if I lived in the UK. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, please follow me on Kick and Rumble. If you support free speech, follow me on Kick, Rumble, and X. That's all I'm saying. Love you guys, man. Thank you so much for giving me the joy of giving me a whole, this is like another career to me. It's like another hobby. Doing these live streams is so much fun. And I will see you guys most likely this Friday. Take care. And stream is over.